Aggravated kidnapping. You're also charged with aggravated assault, and you're charged with theft of a firearm worth less than $2,500.
You're talking about stuff that is not relevant.
Hello and welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the recovery addict, and boy do I have a case for you today.
Why is the dog chewing on this guy?
I think they have got the wrong guy there.
Got the wrong guy, and the dog was biting him.
He roughing him up quite a bit. There's a lawsuit.
9 out of 10 judges prefer watching the Recovery Addict live stream in their courtroom.
The fireworks are not done.
Now we're getting commentary on the case. Sabi mihi Anglican po rin, pero I didn't ask you to interrupt me.
Hey, good morning, Amber. Are we live?
Good morning.
Are we live today? We are live. Let's do this. We've got some intro music. It's happening still. Hang on one second. I've still got some audio playing in the wrong place. Thanks for your patience this morning. Big time.
So far, so good.
All right. Not the best advertisement for StreamYard, but if you're interested in some software to do what my hardware does all day, every day, you too can pay $50 a month and experience what we experienced this morning. So that's, I don't know. I'm not gonna blame it all on them. It's not all their fault. I do apologize. I've eliminated all the software from the mix. But this means I'll have to bring in Dr. G on Zoom, which is not his favorite method, but I'm gonna have to go that route just because I can't trust the interview to StreamYard right now. We're gonna have to do a few more tests to get it hammered out nicely. So here's me. Here's our sample message that says this live stream is the best, which I couldn't agree more. Amber, is everything working on your end?
Everything's working on my end so far, and I'm not seeing anything in the comments.
I'm seeing good stuff. The phone's going off like crazy, and I realized everybody tried to call me to tell me it wasn't working. Thank you. We figured that part out. It was rough. We'll delete those ones because nothing really worked right, and I've heard the audio was awful. I might go back and listen to them, so I won't delete them yet. I'll go back and listen just to see if I can figure out what was causing the problem, and then fix it. 5x5 is a 6-volt bus. That's a good report there. Thank you, sir, for that. I understand what that means. So we're good. We're good. Everything's. I just dropped my pen.
Uh-oh. I hope you have another one close.
I have my book, but I don't have my pen, and I'm going to need that.
Oh no, I didn't.
Did anyone
send you a pen.
check under your desk? Did it roll over to you guys?
Well, while you're reaching for your pen, I'm going to say this to you now so we don't forget and I don't lose it. I have a name for a birthday today.
Okay.
I've only seen one. Thank you, Hey Satan, for gifting that membership. That's very generous. That went with Rolling with 7. Sorry, I was trying to give you a second to find your pen again.
I have a rug. It's not like I'm not like sitting on a grate. Okay, like I'm not like suspended in the air with a lot of space underneath me. There's carpet underneath me and nothing else around. It's even relatively cord free. Matthew Harris, I'm going to need another pen. It
was Matthew Harris's pen. Oh no, I didn't get one of those either. And I was kind of sad because I'm a pen freak. Granted, if my husband finds out I'm asking for another pen,
it's not that I think I rolled over with my chair. Hang on a sec.
All rise. The court is now in session.
All rise.
I'm not a cat.
I'm not seeing any issues.
I feel like a cat. I'm crawling around on the floor looking for a pen.
I was kicked back, taking it easy.
Amanda Hagerman.
It's not the pen so much. It's not the pen so much as the fact that it disappeared after falling 2 feet. That I'm intrigued by. I can actually go the rest of the day without the pen, other than I'll just squeeze the cow a little bit more than normal. But that is, you guys, we were going to talk about this a little bit because of Dr. Lewis, but I think I just discovered magic. It's literally, it's gone. It's gone. I do have a notepad on my pen. We're gonna do that. Guys, it is Thursday. There's no court today. It's a little bit kicked back. We're going to take it easy, just a tiny bit. I've got to get some new contact info over to Dr. G for when he comes on. He'll be on at noon. We have some time to cover some things before he's going to be on, so I know that there are a couple people are excited about that, but Dr. G is going to be on at noon. He has appointments and everything. He's shuffled everything around to be available for us on noon. At noon, we're super, super excited and that he's willing to do that. Am I sitting on it? Where's this?
I was kicked back, taking it easy.
Is it your same Zoom info that I have?
Yeah, let's go with that one.
I was going to say, because I could try and send him a message for you while you're still trying to get your bearings.
I'm just
today.
Yeah. Let me just fan myself. I'm having a hot flash. I lost my pen. We had audio problems this morning. It's been a little bit rough. But oh my goodness.
Cash cow for just a few seconds.
The cash cow
it'll be all right.
is much needed. I know the calls are coming in like crazy on the burner phone right now. I'm sorry. Amber's keeping me sane right now. She's like my personal psychiatrist when things go wrong as well.
Man, I need to increase my rate.
Yeah, you're not charging enough. I can tell you that much. All right. I collect pens. Perfectly normal addiction, says Bad Juju. I have to say, Sharon McDonald, you did win the internet again. Congratulations, you repeat offender, you.
Which time?
So thank you so much, Sharon. The internet is all yours, probably for the whole day, because the way things are going, I'm not sure if we're going to have a second stream today.
Alex stole it.
But I have a pen. I'm in South Carolina. I could bring you one, says Kimberly. Thank you. I'll just drop it off at the P.O. box. Is probably good enough. Which means I also have to go to the P.O. box because Amber sent me something, and I think somebody else had something in the route as well. But I'll check that out. Is it in the chair? I checked the chair, Cass. Great idea. I do not believe I'm sitting on it. I heard it hit the floor, and it was just a cheap Bic pen. It wasn't even the nice one Matthew Harris sent me.
You know, it's probably in that shadow that is cast by the desk itself, and it's just inadvertently camouflaged, and you just can't see it. So it's in that shadow. Poor Scott.
I'm not a camera.
My mind is blown. I feel like everything we've seen this week has just been amazing in court, and we're just like, did that really happen? But no, right? This surpasses all that. That the pen was able to drop from right here, like just right desk level onto the floor, and gone, nothing. And I realize I'm in an old house. Some people say it's haunted. Maybe this is proof. I don't know. Okay. Anyway, no pen. We're going to go without the pen, but I do have some notes. I have been taking notes in my book, which it says bright ideas I've had while drinking milk, which is perfectly appropriate. Thank you for that, Amber.
What did Mrs. R.A. say about your little gift package?
She wanted to know what was in the bottle. Yeah, milk. It's water. I've got water in there. It's actually pretty cool. But
I mean, at least it's inside, right?
Yep. Alex stole my pen. Alex stole it. I think we've got 3 of Alex stole it.
I actually now have 2 names for birthdays, but you don't have a pen to write it down with. Whatever shall we do?
Are you just rubbing it in? Are you rubbing it in, Amber? I had just got to the point where I'm good with not having a pen, and now you're... Let's hear who the birthdays are today. Who do we have? I thought there was a Sheila.
We have a Sheila Suze. I'm not sure how it's pronounced. SCWS, Suze or Suze.
Okay.
And a Mrs. General are the ones I have seen so far.
So Sheila and Mrs. General?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Well, we're going to play some music. I'm not sure if I can sing it.
Yesterday you child had your pen.
Yes. Blame the kid. Blame the kid. Who said that? That was a great idea.
That was Michelle Johnson with the super chat.
Michelle. Thank you, Michelle. Let's see. So Sheila and Mrs. General, we just want to wish you the happiest of birthdays. Hope your birthday starts off better than my day started, because it was a little bit rough start, but it will end on an upbeat, I'm sure. Congratulations on surviving yet another rotation around the Earth. Not everyone has been able to do that successfully, so consider yourself lucky. It's a blessing to be alive, even when things are hard. But I feel blessed to have you here with us today, and thanks for sharing your birthday with us. So happy birthday to both of you and anyone else who may have a birthday. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Wayne Gilbert says, the cleanest and best channel on YouTube. Love it. It's also the least organized today, Wayne. We'll get through that. We are back. Thanks for your patience. I really appreciate that. Can we call Mrs. R.A. to bring you one? Jen.
This is how you know we're all true recovery addicts.
You're not recovering at all. You're just addicts. You're just addicts.
Yeah, we're all true addicts here.
I would call Mrs. R.A. on her cell phone and have her bring me one, but Mrs. R.A. does not have a cell phone. We've had this conversation many times. The problem with a cell phone, and Mrs. R.A. could explain this to you sometime, is that people can call you on it and then you feel obligated to answer. And life is so much simpler when you don't get called and feel obligated to answer. And so there was even a point where she would turn off the ringer on the home phone, which prompted me to start working at home because I just couldn't get a hold of her anymore. But she's upstairs right now. We may actually be doing a joint stream on her channel later this afternoon. So after we're done with Dr. G, we'd probably flip over to her channel, answer a few more questions about homeschooling. I will be Mr. Homeschool Ground Zero, and she will not be Mrs. R.A. anymore. She'll be Homeschool Ground Zero. But thank you for everyone who's doing birthdays. Yeah.
It looks like you're missing a bottle of water and a mug. So maybe, just maybe, somebody will soon.
Are you giving you a preface?
This is for Amber keeping you sane.
Brianne Malcolm, thank you so much. Amber is great. She has the ability. First of all, she has access to another number as well, so she can get a hold of me even when the burner phone is not enabled or is on silent mode, which is necessary sometimes. She's one of the mods that has that privilege and it's helpful. It helps out a ton. I honestly, not just this morning, not just when things are going wrong and you just letting me know what you're seeing, but the mods on this channel do so much work. I wake up in the morning, I'm like, oh, sun's coming up. I wake up, check the clock. The mods have been talking about the day, talking about, what's happening on the channel, what they need to do a little better, what they need to watch for. They've been going for an hour or two, and it's just, it is a ton of work. I don't know how to explain this. I can't show you what they do because occasionally you just see a message in chat and think, oh, that was a mod. Or if there's a problem, somebody might hop in and help you. But they do so much work on the back end. Mods are absolutely incredible. Thank you so much, you guys. I found the best community on the internet, and I have the best mods on the internet as well. So, Amber, thank you for representing them on the phone today. I realize there are others in the back doing a ton of work as well while you were here on the phone. So, appreciate you.
Not a problem. I will say before we go, did you get all the jury questions from yesterday?
I got 6 of the 7. Did anyone get the 7th one?
I'm still working on it. I was trying to get the transcript so we could actually have the true answers instead of the summarized version.
I don't know. I think I might prefer the summarized one in this case. We've heard the doctor be very verbose and circular logic and everything else. So. All right, so let me do just a couple things. Well, while you're on the phone, I've got to get Zoom up and running and get this over to Dr. G, just so he has time to get his system set up. Okay, phone's ringing. Amber, I'm going to let you go. Is that all right?
Yep.
We'll start the show. Thank
fine.
you for your help this morning. I
Happy
appreciate
birthday, Raw.
All right.
Happy to be here.
We'll see you. Bye.
Call from Melissa Morgan. To accept, press 1.
Hey, Melissa, how are you doing?
I'm doing great.
You might need to turn your volume down on your TV, or else it'll get really confusing.
I'm doing great.
Good. What's on your mind this morning, other than my mess up?
Well, I was going to say your problems probably started yesterday when the volume went out at the judges.
We could blame
Maria is doing all of this.
I like where you're thinking. We can pass the blame here. I think this is probably one of the symptoms of DID.
She messed with your audio. She messed with the judge, and now she took your pen.
The pen as well. Melissa, I like your train of thought. I have no accountability for any of these actions, apparently.
Well, I can't wait to hear what the jury's questions were and
they're good.
A summarized version of Dr. Lewis.
Yes, we're going to go over that. That's on my list for this morning.
I think you need to look far to your right. I see
Do you see
shadow,
something?
looks like a pen, but it may be just your cord. But it's in the floor, far to your right. Far to the right, up to the top.
All right, I'll check over there. That would be
Okay.
There's a lot in the way between here and there. So
It could be a line that I saw when you were crawling earlier. I was trying to find it, but looking forward to Dr. G and getting the questions. So we will chat soon.
all right, thank you, Melissa. I appreciate that.
Great.
Now I'm looking for the pen again. All right, bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right, thank you, Melissa. We've got Lisa Dempsey with the huge happy birthday. All right, it's not my birthday. It's not my birthday, Lisa. We have other people who have birthdays today that we're celebrating. My birthday was March 24th, which I got to celebrate with you as well. And just appreciate that. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you for being here, though. Thank you so much. You're awesome. Everyone's saying happy birthday, RA. It's not me. It's not me. You guys are just, oh man. 7 questions, 2 are way off topic. Yes, we're going to talk about those. Should we do that now? We've got about an hour and 20 minutes before Dr. G has on. We've got a few things to cover. We probably don't have enough time to cover everything, honestly. So hitting the Brilliant Ideas While I Had Drinking Milk book one more time. Let's see. First of all, we had on the call initially, Meanie Banana called in initially when the audio was bad. You might have missed that. She did wish me. She was first to wish me happy May the 4th, Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with you all. So today is it's actually required to watch one of the episodes of Star Wars. I'm not sure which one you want to watch, but just make sure you take care of that because it is a legal requirement for any Star Wars fan to do that. See, yesterday we hit 18,000, which was crazy. We were, I was going to say we're streaming on YouTube and Facebook, but I dropped that because StreamYard gave us so much problems this morning. Let's see. So the juror questions we missed, and these come courtesy of, oh, my phone's ringing again. Let's see who's calling. Just one second. We'll get the jury questions in one moment.
Charmaine? I'm sorry. I didn't catch that. To send a voicemail, press 2.
Hey, Charmaine, this is Scott. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. I missed so much of the show yesterday because I was out celebrating my friend's birthday.
Good.
But I was watching your show and it kind of went out. So and I was doing some other calls. I wanted to know if I posted on Facebook your recovery addict crime page. Mm-hmm. I had posted Zach DuPont's questions.
That's what we've got right now.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I posted it like an hour after the show went off because I went right to his thing. I don't have Twitter, and a lot of people don't have Twitter. So I had posted it on Facebook. And, we're missing like a question. But if you could get the transcripts, that would be great. I just wanted people to know because some people don't have Twitter.
Yep.
And they wanted to know what basically the questions were.
Yep, I had just announced that's what we're doing when you called. So we're going to it right now on the live stream.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, and I'll be in court tomorrow watching, here.
Yeah. Well, we're going to have Dr. G on here in a bit, so we'll see him in just a minute.
I'm anxious to see what he says about all the body language. So thank you. Have a great day, and
you too.
Talk to you later.
See
Bye.
You. Bye. Okay, so burner phone's going to go in silent mode just for a minute while we cover this. So these are come courtesy of Zach DuPont. He is one of the journalists who has been covering this trial from the beginning. He happens to be the only journalist that was really in the room while the jury questions were answered. The others were asked. The others had left, and so he tweeted these out after the fact. And he does say that he's heavily paraphrasing the jury questions and especially the answers from Dr. Lewis, so not a lot of direct quotes. And just for your information, Zach DuPont is the Courts and Public Safety for the Colorado Springs Gazette. Previously worked for the Globe Gazette and Boston Globe and Slam Online, so he's got some street cred as far as a reporter goes, and he's definitely in court as well, which is good. So, juror question number 1, which seemed a little bit off base, says, in what way would Stauch giving Gannon enemas impact her relationship with him? And the answer said that those can regularly performed on a child can be a form of SA, but she also cautioned that this claim from Stauch may not be true. Juror question number 2. Did the number of cases drop at Bellevue, the hospital Lewis used to work at, after Lewis's dissociative identity disorder clinic opened? I think that was, the question was actually closed. Basically saying, did the number of DID, was the number of DID diagnosis tied to her being there and open and close and something like that? And the short answer was, there was no actual research conducted on this as far as she knows, but she would bet money that the answer is yes. Juror question number 3 was, how do you determine if someone is faking or exaggerating their mental illness or not? The answer was, Lewis gave a very long-winded answer to this, but essentially said that she had a couple times in trial about this, that you have to look how someone acts in an interview and look at evidence of it existing in the interview in things like past writings. Juror number 4, Zach said, did you perform any tests to help determine if Stauch was faking or exaggerating DID? And her answer was one word, yes. Juror question number 5, earlier you said people with DID are more susceptible to believe what people say to them. Then why do you openly talk about potential theories and explanations in front of the defendant during the interview? Zing! The answer was another long-winded answer from Lewis, and one I fully didn't understand. I think that I can best describe as it's often good to run theories and questions by defendants to see their responses, even if their answers can't necessarily be trusted, as the response can still inform on sanity. Whew. Did you hear that? So it's good to do it because you can't trust it because you can trust it. That's what I heard. Question number 6 was, if the EEG and the MRI weren't provided, how can you issue?
Kick back, taking it easy.
How can you issue a final sanity report? And the answer was that she can basically do it anyway, and be confident in her findings. But the EEG and the MRI just would have helped potentially confirmed her findings, so it would just be added evidence, separate, independent, and not needed for the diagnosis, basically. Number 7. At this point, Zach's phone was going nuts. His Twitter was blowing up. He had received about 1,000 new followers in a couple minutes, and he missed question number 7. So we don't have what number 7 was, but he said that after that and before the mic came back on, Letecia informed to the court that she would not be testifying, so she chose not to testify in her own defense. The defense informed the judge
no dead horse go unbeaten,
that they would be resting on Friday, so Friday morning, and the prosecution informed the judge they would most likely have no rebuttal witnesses, which means closings will be on Friday. So starting Friday morning with closings, this means we will probably be in verdict watch Friday afternoon at the latest. Depends on how long jury instructions go. And that's it. So Zach DuPont, after all this, after he gives all this information, he says, just, hey, by the way, can you also give Ashley Portneio, his last name is Porteeyo, a follow too. She's covered the trial nearly every day of this trial too.
About stuff that is not relevant.
And she was unlucky to have to leave a few minutes before the juror questions. And the juror questions are what got him all the follows. But yeah, it was funny. So we gave her a follow and Zach a follow as well. We're super excited about that. Okay, any questions about the questions from the jurors? Let's see, I need to open this. Anyone else surprised our lovely defendant isn't taking a stand? I was thinking it was looking more and more likely that she would. The jury questions tell me they felt the same as we did about the Dr. Lewis's testimony, says CJ in Texas. Sounds like the jury doesn't trust good old Dr. Lewis, which is good, says Pud Muddle. Are we going to do a poll on how long the jury would blow out? I mean, how long it would take to fill in the guilty on the forms? Here's what we're going to do. Give me 1 second because I'm a little bit. Let's see. I need to copy some things over to Dr. J before I forget. Dr. G, sorry. I was reading J on the screen. No, not my password. Hold tight for 1 second. Okay, there we go. Okay, here he is.
I'm not a camel.
Switch over here. Hold tight while I type this. Just 1 second. We've got to get.
I'm not a cat.
I was kicked back, taking it easy.
I need to play some music here or something for you guys. Just got to make sure Dr. G has everything he needs to get connected at noon.
Are we going to address subject matter jurisdiction?
Yeah, we're going to do that. We've got a couple other things to talk about first, though. Copy. Okay, thanks for your patience here, guys. We're going to get this all done. Copy link. Okay, now we're done. Okay, he says he's good with Zoom, so we're good to go.
I was kicked back, taking
Awesome.
it easy.
Now we'll get back to where we were. Guys, thanks for the rush. It's going to be a little smoother this afternoon with Dr. G. I can promise you that. Let's go back over here. Okay, let's see. We've got one thing I will say. Dr. G has said he wants to focus on Dr. Lewis's testimony. So if anyone has specific questions about what we heard in all of Dr. Lewis's testimony and that phase of the trial, and realize he is a clinical psychologist. Dr. G is a clinical psychologist. He's also a behavior analyst expert. Analysis expert, and so anything in those realms, if you have a question, if you can send that to me and get my attention with it, I'd like to put on the list. I can't ask every question. I realize that there are probably a lot of questions I can't ask, so I might group some together, and some, unfortunately, we just won't have time for, out of respect for his time there, but we'll do that. Dr. G is going to be on at noon. We've got just under an hour, so we're going to cover a couple things before then. Let's see. We want to do a vote on the verdict. Let's do that. Hold on a second. Because at this point in the trial, we've heard all the evidence. Everything we hear from this point on is not going to be evidence. We are going to hear the closing statements from both the prosecution and the defense, and that will be interesting. That will be insightful. But as far as the jury's concerned, it is not evidence. It should not sway their decision one way or another. So we're now finally at the point where we can do a poll and we'll have to have a couple of elements on this because we've never had a poll about the multiple layers that are involved here. Amber, let's see, Amanda, sorry, I read Amber. Amanda89, welcome to the gallery. Thank you so much for being a member. I did miss a membership earlier because of all the mess up of the audio. So I do apologize on that. Hold on one second. We'll ask. I see that one from Chris Wallace. I need a pen. I need to call out to my kids 1 second. Wait. All I had to do was ask. I just asked, I yelled, can someone bring me a pen? And boom, here it is. I'm going to keep this in my mouth so I can't fall on the floor ever again. I found a pen. A pen. Oh. Wait. I have a pen. I have another pen. Okay, this one actually has a tip on it I have not taken off yet, so we're going to keep this in its case. Let's see. Black Beauty says, was it proven that Letecia was speaking Russian, or was it just gibberish? It was just gibberish. It was very, very poor attempts at a Russian accent that was not even consistent. Linda James says, new member. Linda, yes, thank you so much. I appreciate you becoming a new member. I saw that come across earlier, and I lost it in all the resets on trying to get started. I appreciate you doing that. Let me find this question. Okay, first from Chris Wallace. My questions are over here on this page. Okay, does G believe in Dr. G believe in that? Does she think she planted ideas? This is my question as well. I've got that one already. Boston Girl, that is a great one. I had that one earlier written down, so we're going to ask him about that. Lisa says, I would like to know what Dr. G thinks about Dr. Lewis's behavior in court. Was she being a little entitled? Lisa? Okay, we'll get that one as well. Let's see, question from Red Pen says, unethical to have her son in the room during analysis. Okay, Red Pen, great question. Good grief, she didn't recognize him. What is up with that? That's a two-parter. Okay, all right. I've got a few of my own. That's a great start. I'll keep an eye on some of this as we go on. Okay, the ask me shall receive. The pen is back. Kiefer says, LOL. Recover Addict says 2.4K in chat while being silent. I wasn't silent. I was looking for a pen, Kiefer. It wasn't nothing. But Krista Taylor, thank you very much for the super chat. Thank you for being here. Dreamscape has a question for Dr. G. And while I'm here, I heard from someone who says, I've never had my name called out. He never reads my messages. First of all, I'm sorry. Diet Coke Mom, hello, and welcome. I will answer your call when you call in. Let's put it that way. I'll answer your call. Question for Dr. G from Dreamscape is, please comment on having the lawyer and her son in the assessment. Okay, we got that also from Red Pen. Also, the dangers of wearing a scarf, cane, and a wheelchair within reach of Letecia. Was the doctor collecting data for own use? That last part I hadn't thought of before, Dreamscape. Scarf, cane. As far as the data for her own use, what are you getting at there, Dreamscape? Are you saying, was she doing this to advance her own career type thing, or was she what's the underlying what would you say? I mean, how would you answer that, basically, is what I'm asking. Has Dr. Lewis submitted a peer-reviewed article in recent years? Michelle, I'm not sure if Dr. G would know that, but I don't remember hearing her tell about that during her initial, as far as recent goes, during her initial, as she listed her CV at the beginning of her testimony. And I don't think on cross she was asked questions about that. Ivy Berlin says, question for your Germany fan, how are these exams usually structured? Do they ask certain personal questions or go straight to what happened and let them talk? Thanks. What does a DID exam look like is sort of what you're asking there, Ivy. Okay. I'm going to need more pages. I leave so many gaps, and I write so big so I can read it. Okay, what are the thoughts on the sun being in the interview room? Taser, we're definitely going to ask that. That is a great question. For our own use, could it be for studies, papers, books, basically research material? Okay, I'll ask about that. I don't think that would be inappropriate for her to keep records of all her patients as she's furthering the science, so to speak. I would expect any doctor involved in research to include all the new data they have as they do ongoing testing with new patients in their analysis. But that's so many questions. We're not going to let Dr. G go, apparently. He's going to be on all day. Do realize Dr. G's going to do his own video that he may, I haven't seen it drop yet, but he may drop a video as far as specifically on this up to this part of the trial, either today or tomorrow. That should be coming out. So we're not going to take all the gems that he's going to share. Obviously, we're going to leave some for him so that you guys have to go over to his channel, because that would only be appropriate for me to help him grow as well, as he's doing a great service to us by coming on our channel. That's awesome that way. Okay, question for Dr. D. Does he believe that LS has DID? I think he's answered that one already as far as that. I'll have to go back. I need to go back and listen to our last interview, because I think we asked that question previously, and now I can't remember the response. Okay. I was very surprised by the way Dr. Lewis seemed to spoon-feed answers to LS in the form of questions. Did you think in the interview was coaching? We're going to ask that one, Lisa. I'm specifically going to use an example that I picked out on and talk to him about that. Rosie from Tucson says, check P.O. Box Saturday for your new pen. You won't lose this one. It probably has like a big handcuff on it that you just attach to your wrist. Is that it, Rosie? I'll watch the P.O. Box for that. Probably not appropriate, but I'm curious if Dr. G possibly sees anything mental with Dr. Lewis. I'm truly curious. Sleuths Investigate. I was asking my wife. I said, aside from the change of voice, does Dr. Lewis have DID? Because we have her up on the stand contradicting herself in very dramatic and distinct ways, where at one point she says, I don't have any of these papers, and then minutes later she's like, oh, let me pull these papers out for you. At one point she testifies and said one thing, and then it was basically read verbatim back to her moments later, and she's like, I didn't say that. The jury can listen for themselves. We saw in Dr. Lewis some of the same symptoms that she was describing in somebody with DID. Now, I did not see anything else in behavior that changed, so I'm not saying she has DID, but here's this. This is my wife's question. I'm going to read it to you. She came up to this after we were talking about Dr. Lewis and how hard it was to pin her down. Okay, and I realize a good witness is very difficult to pin down. That's what you want in an expert witness. But as she would almost refuse to accept information, almost to the point of refusing to accept reality and having a separate explanation for reality, like the email where she says, okay, let's not do that test. And then she says, no, I what I was meaning was let's put that off till later. So she's clearly, what my wife says, she says, she shows a willingness to lie in order to get what she wants. How can she see or condemn that same quality in her patients when she's actively using it? That's Mrs. R.A. I'm going to read that one to Dr. G as well and see what he thinks about that. Does Dr. Lewis have narcissistic personality disorder? Dr. Lewis was confusing. Mammy, part of the problem was she was not mic'd well. We did not have a good, clear audio from her, and if we could hear her very well and everything she was saying and trying to say, I think it would have helped a little bit. At the same time, it probably would have been even more confusing. Was Dr. Lewis earning her $350 an hour? It's either $300 or $350. It depends on which record you look at. She thought it was $350. Who pays her? Guess what? The state of Colorado pays her. So the judge, I believe, signs off on these checks, and that was frustrating to him because he knows he's got a 4 or 5 digit check that he's going to have to sign over to this doctor after this circus in his courtroom. He's going to, yes, Dr. G is going to be joining us within the next hour. Thank you, Samantha. Do you think Dr. Lewis tricked herself into taking what could possibly be her last high-profile case and looked too hard to find the insanity, which was not there? she definitely was looking for it. I'll say that, Franco. Great questions for Dr. G. Okay, I can't write everything down, but hold on to them because if we have questions, if we have opportunity to answer more questions, because obviously we're going to let him talk a little bit about what he observed. He's not just here to do Q&A, but we'll work on that. Okay. We wanted to do more of the open phones now that the audio is working. So we're going to talk about some of these things. And obviously, if you have a question you want to bring up on the open phone, we may be able to include that in the list as well. Great, just amazing. Great questions here. This is awesome. Here's what I've got for you. If for some reason, I need water. That's what I need. Can you hold on for 1 second? Okay, thank you for that. If for some reason the question you have that you've asked me is not recognized, I don't see it, or we don't have time to address it with Dr. G, about Dr. L. I would highly suggest that you follow Dr. G on his channel and comment on his video when it comes out. He is also very interactive with his comments. He does read those messages. He does respond to people. And that would be a great way to both help the metrics of his channel as far as the videos go, because if you have that question, odds are there's probably a few thousand other people out there who probably couldn't word it as well as you did, or aren't willing to type it out because they think they won't get an answer. I would say ask him the question on his channel if we don't address it on this one, and give him the opportunity to expound on that through chat or possibly through another video on his channel. That would be fantastic for him. Can the judge charge her a late attendance fee like a bank would? Or like your doctor, you're late to the doctor's office and you get billed. You get zinged on that one. Okay, we are going to turn on the burner phone one more time, so it's up. Let's see. Pammy Sterling says, as an old retired RN that has worked extensively with memory care patients, it sounds to me like she's teetering on the edge of dementia more than anything else.
Ask DRG if he found Dr. Lewis combative when being questioned by prosecution.
Was she combative? I think if she was too combative, the attorney would have had the option to, and I guess it was cross anyway, but if she was combative on direct, they could have permission, they could request permission to treat her as a hostile witness, which would give them the ability to lead more in the questions with her. But neither side voiced that. The closest we got was that they asked the judge to direct the witness to just answer the question and answer it directly, which she did not do very much at all. Little Miss, you did not miss Dr. G. He's coming on inside an hour when he's available. Let me actually get the video on my
You do a
screen.
phenomenal job. At Recovery Addict. Love the vibe of this channel and chat. Much love to y'all.
Ashy Snow, thank you so much. I appreciate that. I appreciate you being here and helping make this channel what it is, because it's not a one-man show, that's for sure. It's all of you guys that make this possible. Let's see. Show 3.
I got my mug the other day. It's perfect size. I ordered another for my friend birthday. She is also true crime addict. Purple heart, thank you.
Tony, thank you. That is awesome. I'm glad you love it. The mug, I loved how
Ricky Watson.
How perfect they are.
To accept, press 1.
Ricky, good morning. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well. How are yourself?
Oh, I'm better now that the audio is working. It was a little rough this morning. Did you see that? It was a tough start.
Oh, yes, sir. I was going to kind of let you know if you'll take that thingamajigger and put it over yonder, it probably worked just fine.
You know, I should have had you call in earlier and give me that advice so I could have that sorted out a lot quicker.
I should have. I'd have you lost by now.
Yeah, no, it's working. The problem is, StreamYard wants everything to run through my computer. So it wants my microphone, my headphones, everything to go through the computer, and then it will talk straight to the internet. And everything else I have wants to do it outside of my computer and not use it. So when I connect the two, it makes a loop. We've talked about circular logic when somebody talks in a circle. Well, that's what happens with the audio, and it just causes problems. So who will be doing closing arguments for the prosecution? I think that's going to be Tahiti. Boots is going to do it.
No, I just wanted to say thank you for allowing me to say howdy to Brandy last night.
Oh, that was great. It was wonderful.
And it was also just awesome that I got to talk to Mrs. R.A.
Yeah, she liked that as well.
And just to let everybody out there, because I've had requests, I just want to say a big old howdy to all of y'all.
DRL early stages Alzheimer's.
Hang on 1 second. Say that again. Say a big old
howdy to all of y'all.
Thank you so much, Ricky. I appreciate you. Appreciate you calling in. We love your accent. We love your take on things. You're probably the most down to earth guy we have on here that just calls it like you see it, and I love it. Thank you for the pictures as well. I haven't got them ready to share yet. Which we've got the pictures of your dog up on the tractor and everything, and we'll see if we can share those later.
And that one that I looked fancy in.
Mm-hmm.
That was at my friend. I was the best man at my friend's wedding.
That's awesome.
And gosh, dog, I didn't like that outfit it won on.
I'll have to check. You still had boots on, right?
Oh heck yeah!
All right, boots and a suit. It looked good.
By God, I mean, if you're gonna die with your boots on.
Ricky, you're awesome. Thank you so much for calling in. We'll talk to you again
soon.
Right?
Thank you, Mr. R.A., and y'all have a wonderful day.
We sure will. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Heather Barnett. Sorry, you came in right as Ricky was talking. Let me read your message here, Heather. She says, I agree. I think Dr. L, early stages of Alzheimer's, I really think this is why her son sits in with her and takes notes. He does this in her documentary too. Does the son have any medical experience in this field? I mean, is he also a professional in this realm, or is that too much to ask to have him also be involved somehow in a legal way or a medical way? Interesting idea. Coops, thank you for coming, a member of the gallery. Welcome. Please take a seat. And Marcia Prill, I believe it's Marcia Prill, gifted 5 memberships as well. So we've got 5 new members. Okay, we have, I think this is an international call. Let's see who we have.
Call from
Jason.
Hey, is this Jason?
Yes. How are you doing there, recovery addict?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm doing great too. Yeah, I just wanted to, I really a fan of Mr. Watson, I believe. It's fun to get his calls, and I'm sure everybody in the chat loves his calls.
Yeah, he's great.
It reminds me of a story I really liked when I was younger, the Little Britches. I'm sure a lot of the members here have read it. I'm not sure if you read it, but
yep.
Some reason are you familiar with that story, Little Britches?
Give me 2 seconds. Keep talking. I think I've got it next to me.
Oh, okay. I don't have the stream, so I can't see anything on the stream right now. But yeah. I one other thing. I comment about what's been going on. I think that Dr. Lewis, is a wonderful lady, and I'm sure a lot of the members understand what I'm referring to. Her character seems as though, she may have we may have some questions about whether or not she's has some symptoms or not, but I think she's a wonderful lady. She reminds us all of probably our grandparents or our mom, and it seems like a sweet lady, a fun person to talk with. But I do agree that it seems as though she's teetering on a little bit of everything, whether it be trying to get fame or whether it be her maybe she's becoming a little bit slower because, with age, sometimes we become a little slower. One thing's for sure, if this is how she did expert testimony in the past, I think she would have lost her job a long time ago. I don't think she did this in the past.
So she's been consistent. This is not a recent development as far as her style of testifying.
So actually, this is consistent. Okay, that's a surprise to me. But
it sounds like everyone said if you watch the HBO documentary, it was the same on there. You got the same thing, and I realized that was maybe a couple of years ago. But
I think she is extremely educated. I think she has a lot of knowledge in a lot of areas. But I think this perhaps could be a blessing in disguise. Her testimony could open. Allow more professionals and the community in general to see that she is her ideas and her research could be flawed and needs more. It needs to be more peer reviewed, more research put into it. Otherwise, a lot of people are going to be misunderstanding and misdiagnosing other patients because of her work. So I think that it's helpful, and not all her work is wrong. I'm sure she's done a lot of great research. But yeah, that's my point. I'll let other callers get in.
Oh, thank you, Jason. Appreciate you sharing that with us. Where are you calling from? Can I ask?
Taiwan again.
Taiwan. Okay. All right. The area code seemed different this time. So awesome. Thank you. It's Jason Ski, right?
Strange. Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. We'll see you, man. Bye.
Hey, you're welcome. Bye-bye.
All right. I was going to tell Jason that I have little women, little men. I don't have little britches. I've got a bunch of books. It's on here somewhere.
3 times last week, woozy face with one squinted eye and wavy mouth. I don't think it's dementia. She was slightly like this on the Shawcross trial 33 years ago. Struck me as odd and sickening was Dr. Lewis seemed to have more empathy and sympathy for LS than Gannon or that boy. Nauseated face, distressed face, vomiting.
Okay, let me go back and get those. I missed a couple here. Hold on, let me answer the phone. I'll put somebody on hold here.
Lisa Dempsey.
Lisa, hang on just one second, if that's all right. I'm going to try to read a couple messages that I just missed one. Sleuth Investigate says, I watched the documentary 3 times last week. I don't think it's dementia. She was slightly like this on the Shawcross trial 33 years ago. Lizzie Dog also was saying that it struck me as odd and sickening that Dr. Lewis seemed to have more empathy and sympathy for LS than Gannon, or that boy. I don't think she ever said Gannon in her testimony at all, which was disheartening. As a doctor, the victim here, she was more focused on the patient. But I mean, that's her profession, but still, there should be some respect shown there. Also, Linda James says, new here from the UK, probably won't be here for many lives because of the time change. Do you do a rewatch party? We probably should do a rewatch party. We've been, what time would that be for us? What time would be best for you? Let's see. I don't know. We'll have to figure it out. I think you're 6 hours ahead of us. Let's see. Now I've forgotten. Lisa Dempsey, do we have you on the phone? Sorry. Yeah. I didn't write it down, and my brain goes all over the place. All right. What's on your mind?
I was just thinking with this doctor, I mean, everybody's saying she seems to be a little too old. That's not a nice word, but to be practicing. I just feel like, when people get older, for safety, we might take away their driver's license for their safety and others. And I just feel like there should be some kind of review for doctors at some point to make sure that they're still capable to practice, especially because when you're going to see a doctor, you trust that they're telling you what's going on. You just trust that their diagnosis is correct. And if they're not capable of helping anymore, I just think that could be very dangerous.
That's an interesting idea. As far as the driver's license goes, if you have a driver's license and you're getting older, it's my experience that most states will have you go back in and have an eye exam and sometimes repass the test. And if you can do that, they'll keep issuing the license. That was tests done by the DMV or whatever state authority handles that in your state. Don't necessarily test for some of the other issues that might be a factor as people age, and oftentimes it's the family that will step in and say,
exactly, yeah,
maybe this isn't the best to have you keep driving. Oftentimes it will exhibit with individuals that may be getting lost when they're doing repeated trips to. I mean, I get lost. I go into the kitchen. I can't remember what I went there for, but it does show up, and it's sad because in a way it takes away independence, and they become dependent on people. So it's a heartbreaking moment, but at the same time, there is a safety concern both for themselves and others. And I guess as a doctor, you sort of have that same concern, but I mean, it's obviously different. You're not endangering other people's lives by driving down the road in an unsafe manner, but you still could endanger someone's lives by misdiagnosing by prescribing medications, by
right.
Yeah.
And when I was pregnant with my first son, I knew that something was wrong. There were a lot of things that came up that I knew something was wrong, and even in labor, they were telling me I wasn't in labor. I ended up having to stay in the hospital. My son and I both almost died. And as a first-time mother, I just believed that maybe I was overreacting. Maybe these things that were going on were in my head because this was my first time. You know, I trusted the doctor.
Yeah.
And it ended up almost taking both of us out. So
my goodness.
That's why I think, you know, it could be dangerous. Like I said, you trust the doctor because they know everything.
And
you
you've
know?
been taught that. We've said that, you know, the doctor knows best type thing. And a lot of times you go in there and the doctor, he'll come in and tell you exactly what's going on. And guess what? That doctor has never been pregnant. Okay. Many of these doctors have never been pregnant. You've got some guy telling a lady what it's like to be pregnant, and he's never done it. And granted, I'm not saying that male doctors can't be great obstetricians and, you know, OBGYNs, whatever, that can help out a ton and do great work. But at the same time, there's something that women know. I mean, the experience cannot be understated. that going through that yourself. Sometimes women just know something's not right, and the doctor's like, "Yeah, everything's fine," and she says, "No, something's not right," and you just know. And so, yeah, I hear that. Thank you, Lisa. It's funny you mentioned that actually, because Mrs. RA, I'm not sure if she'll get into that ever on her channel, but she had some just incredible birthing experiences. We have 6 kids, obviously, and some were done. And, you know, the initial ones were very much like, oh, you go to the hospital, they give you the drip and the Pitocin, and you know you have the painful labor until you give birth, and then you just deal with the consequences type thing. And then she found some other alternatives, and we had just some incredible experiences with some of our children being born that sort of defied the logic of the doctors. And it was really neat. So maybe we'll go into that sometime on her channel. Obviously, that's her story to tell. I only am a small part of that. But thank you, Lisa, for bringing that up. Appreciate that insight.
Thanks for taking my call.
Anytime. Have a great day. We'll see you.
You too. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay. Bluebell came in with a super chat saying, I had to take a break after Monday seeing Cook and the defendant laughing right through testimony, so I got a lot to catch up on. You do, Bluebell. There's a lot. Maybe we can help you a little bit, because honestly, all the video stuff was really difficult.
From Valerie.
Valerie Ivy, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. My heart rate's gone back down now that all the equipment is working the way it should be. We've got everything lined up for Dr. G. We're good. We're doing good.
I'm just actually, this is the last caller sparked this. Going back to what Dr. G had said before, how he was rather incredulous that they even qualified her as an expert. I was actually trying to look up the Colorado statutes on that. It does seem to be up to the discretion of the court and the trial judge.
It is.
However, there was a lot of legalese in there that I was trying to read that a lawyer could probably weigh in, because this might create an appealable issue. That they qualified her when she's not actually licensed, or there's no regulating body over her. Even as a forensic psychologist, she has no license in that.
I would say that if the state had brought in an expert like this, and then Letecia had been convicted, I would be more prone to say that would be an appealable issue. There would have obviously had to have been some objections raised at the time by the defense, and so we're sort of looking at this mirror image as if, you know, the state had done this instead of the defense. Because the defense brought it in, you can't really create your own mistrial. So you can't.
I mean, could you though? Could she claim it was ineffective assistance of counsel because they did not find a qualified expert?
No. She can't. Yeah, look at Sarah Boone's case, where she's going to go to court here. It starts July 24th. She's got a trial. Her lawyer has said in court, Judge, we need more time. We can't find anyone who's willing to testify in her defense. Any experts, even for $10,000.
I got it.
And
I got that, but
the judge has said, guess what? Just because you want that defense and you want that theory of defense there does not mean you'll get to it. You may have to go to trial without it, and that's
right. But I was thinking about the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial, and how they made sure that they found all of their expert, mental health professionals were licensed in Virginia.
Yeah.
They were all from Virginia because that's where they would be testifying. So that's what.
Now,
I don't know.
It does introduce an interesting factor because she's not licensed in Colorado, but you don't have to be licensed in Colorado to testify as an expert. So from the court standpoint, that's not a problem. There might be issues, legally she might be able to be sued for what she was doing or fined or lose her license or reprimanded for doing it that way. But
I saw another YouTube with a mental health professional who said that, yeah, she may not have to be licensed, but she would still have to ask for permission from some kind of regulating body in Colorado. That's just why it just kind of scared me a little bit. I mean, it seems to me they could strike her whole testimony.
Maybe Dr. G would be able to answer that better because he has been an expert witness, has testified many times, probably in multiple states, and we might have to ask him that about the licensure issue.
And also, did you catch what she said that they struck from the record? I couldn't fully catch it, but it was something about how she was talking about appeals.
She brought up that the attorney had told her that this would be brought up on appeal, and you can't say that. You can't say that to the jury that this is already.
Oh, I know, but it gives you an insight into where she's thinking.
Yeah, it's she shouldn't have said that at all. I don't think the attorney should have told her that. Obviously, whether it's legal or not, I'm not sure. But thank you very much for all the questions. Yeah. Great insight. Yeah. We're going to try to ask that licensure question to Dr. G this afternoon when he comes on.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right, we've got a couple of super chats here we need to get to. KPD says here in that's Australia, right? I don't know my flags very well. Australia, it's down under. I see that. A doctor cannot work in a hospital after 80 years old. Heather Barnett says, my father has early onset Alzheimer's. I'm sorry, Heather, and is highly functioning because of his education. This is what I see with Dr. Lewis, with her being highly educated. So, Heather, you hit on an important factor that people who have Alzheimer's, because of their activity levels and what they do brain-wise, they can oftentimes delay the progress in that. Lisa Hogan. Lisa, welcome. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I just wanted to say I'm calling from Ontario, Canada, and I absolutely love your channel.
Thank you.
And I wanted to say that yesterday I was just waiting for Jasmine to come on her magic carpet to escort Letecia back to herself.
We saw what? We saw Letecia, we saw Taylor, we saw Maria. Was there anyone else? It's hard to tell because the audio was so bad. So I wonder if maybe
yes,
we've seen Harmony.
But I just wanted to say congratulations on 18,000.
Oh, thank you. 18,000 was a huge benchmark. I never thought I would reach, but that's 18,000 points for you guys. So that's your award. Thank you so much. It's awesome.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Yeah, you too, Lisa. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Charmaine has a super chat as well. Says, I think Dr. Lewis's son has been abusive / controlling or influence overbearing to his mom. He did assist her in the documentary. Him assisting, he might just be a really good son and caring about his mom or grandma. I don't know if it's son or grandson. I'm not sure what the relationship is there. I know it's a direct descendant. So if she wants to do this and he's helping her, then that's a good thing. But at the same time, if he wants her to do this and she doesn't, and he's forcing her or talking her into it, that would almost be elder abuse, and that would be sad. Marty Madden, welcome to the gallery. Thank you for becoming a member. Welcome. Julie says, how do I follow you on YouTube? If you go to my channel page, sorry, Julie, there you are. You just click, I think you might have already done it, but you can click subscribe when you go to the channel page. Just look up, if you click on my logo, you can say go to channel. I think it'll work that way. All right.
Call from
Mrs. H.
Good morning, Mrs. H. How are you doing this fine Thursday morning?
I'm doing well. How about you?
Oh, not bad. What's on your mind?
After all of the audio got fixed.
I hate.
I was panicking.
Let me tell you, I've done a lot of live broadcasts. I've been involved with live television, whether it's been everything from car chases, TV shows, rodeos, sporting events. I've been the guy where it has to work the first time. And so I prep everything. I want safety. I want a fallback plan that in a moment's notice, if something doesn't work, I can switch and no one will know. So this morning was devastating for me. I hate when things don't work well. But thank you so much for being patient and sticking around.
We'll jump back and forth until we get it, because that's how much we love it.
Thank you so much.
Hey, I had a couple of things last night after the trial. I had looked up on our good Dr. Lewis, and it was interesting because I heard someone talk about Shawcross or text Shawcross something this morning, and that was one of the things I found, that she went to court and was giving testimony on what she got from him being under hypnosis, and the prosecution went after her the same way as this one and said that under hypnosis she was giving very leading questions and causing false memories. And she said that the defense team was after her not the defense team, the prosecution was after her to discredit her and undermine her because the prosecutor had the same last name, which she said was very rare, as a CIA agent that was in the case.
Whoa.
And she said everybody else was wrong, the neurologist, the other psychologist, but she was right, and she went after them for bringing EEGs and MRIs to testify on, and said she couldn't get hers because of the court.
Yeah. My
and then
goodness.
one last quick thing that I thought was hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
She says that the Frozen Broadway play was plagiarized after her life and books, especially the character of Agnetha, who apparently is a psychologist. I haven't seen it, but she says that the story that the media put out about this damaged her career permanently.
Wow.
There's just some funny stuff that I came across last night, and I thought this was 2004, so she's been doing this for a long time. Same type of mannerisms and how she handles things.
Mrs. H, that is incredible. I obviously I haven't read that. I can't vouch for authenticity or who's saying what there, but it sounds like there's some issues in her past, and her present.
It makes you wonder about her mental stuff. But anyway, I just thought that stuff was interesting. I'll let other people get to you now.
Awesome. Thank you, Mrs. H. Thanks for calling. I appreciate it.
Oh, hey, one more thing. Yeah. Yesterday, I accidentally said, "Love you" when
I do that as well.
Like I do with my husband all the time.
If I do use that, just know it's a general term. There's not a deep, personal, intimate attachment between me and anyone other than Mrs. R.A. so if I do slip and just say "love you all," have a good night. Just know that that's the case.
Okay.
But thank you a lot.
All
love
right.
you. Bye. Awesome. Oh man, I think I just I hit the wrong button. I hung up on somebody who was calling. I apologize for that. Lucia Baker brings us, says, people with dementia can have varying degrees of dissent. Long-term memory, often the first to go. I know this because I was my mother's in-home caregiver for 10 years. That is, Lucy Baker, that is an incredible job. You think of the hired help that the Murdaughs had, and the people, the work they did, and how they were, like for his mom particularly, that is a huge task to care for someone in their years, especially as they're declining in health and maybe capacity and ability. More power to you. That is awesome. Thank you so much for doing that. Somebody posted earlier that it was interesting that the prosecution is the one that played these videos and not the defense. If they were, it was her product, her work product, these videos, and they didn't show them. Question for Dr. G. Do you think Dr. L likes and relies too much on her fame, and this affects her approach, such as having her son record and not having proper skepticism? We're going to get into that, both the son and everything. That's
call from Laura.
Laura, how are you doing today?
I'm good. I took notes too, by the way. I actually wanted to ask you a question.
Can I cheat off your notes? Can you fax them to me? No, I'm just kidding.
Right. You don't want to see my notes. I watch trials all the time, and I swear if something ever happened to me, think about if somebody or thing ever happened to you and somebody came into your house and saw the pages of like timestamps and notes, they would think
and
we
Google
were nuts.
search history, as we're like, what does
I'm
that bring
telling
up?
you.
Yeah, we're all in
Yeah,
trouble.
I'm the same way. Like, I have a notebook right here where I was like, I want to ask him. Okay, so I stumbled on your channel, like, I don't know, maybe 3 days ago. I'm the chick that called yesterday with the Southern accent.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know how long you've been doing this, like, watching trials, but one of your callers triggered a question that I think is important, as me personally speaking, that I think that all these cameras showing up in these courtrooms and now this public interest in these trials have exposed the laxy-daisy laziness that a lot of attorneys have grown accustomed to, where they don't really put on much of a trial. And I think with these cameras being in there, they feel the need to step up their game. Do you feel that?
Well, the one that immediately pops to my mind when you talk about that is what we just watched with, it was actually the civil suit in Utah with Gwyneth Paltrow. And I can't remember the other guy's name. But the Gwyneth Paltrow, the ski accident civil suit, that was the first time a civil suit in Utah had been televised on, had been brought on live. And it was very different. The lawyers, they were cognizant of the change. We're like, we have to be different here. I have to be on my game. People are watching here. So I believe there is some aspect to that. I don't know if the whole system, worldwide is basically corrupt and lazy and is now just having to step up their game. But I do think the openness, the open courts is important to the judicial process, not just that we can make sure that people are receiving fair trials, but we can see that justice, how justice works and make sure it's all proper. I like it. I love the open courts. I'm a big fan of that and encourage that anywhere I can.
Well, I think it's twofold. I think they know they're publicly being judged, and two, if they do a good job, it's a great business card.
Yes, that is.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you look at Casey Anthony's lawyer. Okay, you get Casey Anthony off on a case like that, and suddenly you can demand any sum you want from your client because look what I can do. Right? You get somebody who the whole world thinks is guilty and hates, and I can get jurors to not convict her. So
I just think that we need to push for federal court. I don't think it's right that these cameras, they should be in federal courts as well.
I'd love to see
there
federal courts.
There shouldn't be a two-tier justice system.
And even the Supreme Court, all the debates, all the presentations, I'd like to see all that as well. It would be, I realize there are some cases, obviously, that should be sealed, protection, especially when minors are involved, things like that. But overall, openness should be the way to go.
Well, you can find a lot of state Supreme Court's arguments online, like Tennessee here. You can find the Tennessee courts and the Supreme Court. You'll just see the argument that they'll take back and consider. I agree. Okay, so here's the next one. Okay, so there's been a lot of conversation about, her and her, the doctor, Dr. Lewis. This is my take on this situation. This woman has spent 50 years. This is her life's work, trying to solidify a diagnosis that is contemptuous. Like a lot of psychologists don't agree that it's even a diagnosis. So she spent 50 years trying to do this. She's at the end stages of her life. I have no doubt that she is grabbing at straws, trying to find some kind of confirming diagnosis to prove that her life's work wasn't just based on, nothing. Yeah. So I think that plays into it. I really do. Because how she treated that psych eval was it was a joke. It was sad, really.
I would say that it did not appear to have the structure and rigor that an actual evaluation test should follow to get consistent results.
The attorney sat in the room. I don't know how you could get any more biased.
Maria can't see the attorney.
Yes, she just turned to him and asked him questions right in front of her. The guy that's supposed to be a booger on the wall that was not even supposed to act like he was in the room. She's just looking at him like, "What do you think, attorney?"
Any other questions? That was.
Yeah, right.
It was. Crazy.
And then the son, the sidekick. Somebody called the other day and talked about Lorraine Warren, and it just made me giggle a little bit because her son also followed her around. But at least he had. Like, he studied demonology. She was a psychic. Her husband was a demonologist, and at least her son studied it. But I watched a case the other day. I don't know if you know who Biggin is. He's a Georgia guy. He's covered this little bully case. Mm-hmm. And if you remember we called her lawyer Marlboro Martha because she talked about like Ricky. but her son was with her in court. Like he was her assistant. And I was like, I think we're in this generation where these 40-year-olds won't leave the nest, and their parents are like, well, if you're going to eat off of me, you're going to follow me around to get my coffee.
Might as well carry my bag. So thank you so much for that. Appreciate it. Call anytime. Appreciate your insight today.
All right. Can I say one other thing?
Yep.
Belittled, but I think it was weird that she belittled Letecia's education.
Yes.
Remember she said she got her degrees out of a box. That was it. All right, you have a good one.
Thank you so much. We'll see you.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye. That's funny. I just got a text on the burner phone as well. Somebody says we just checked the 1950 census, and in that census, Dr. L's mom shows that she was born in Russia, which is interesting. Just a fun fact. If that is true, that's interesting. That there might be some Russian language background in Dr. L's childhood. Shanna Riley, thanks for gifting 5 memberships, as well as Ellie Veldman also gifted membership as well. So thank you so much. Good morning, all. Good morning, Connie. Thanks for being here. I realize I skipped the roll call this morning. I've skipped it all week long, and I just don't know how to do it because people come in faster than I can call their names. Let's see. Book and doc drama document or doc drama name. Milka Munch, Mika Munch, Micah. Are you talking about the Dr. Lewis's book? Dr. Lewis, her book was, I think, Guilty Not Insane, and her is the HBO document drama the same title. I think it's also Guilty Not Insane. Somebody can correct me. I have not watched it. I don't recall. Let's see. I think she's licensed, but not in Colorado. Yes, that's the case. I think she's only licensed in New York. I think she was saying that because it's so expensive to get licensed, she maintains that one. Natalia says, my son almost died in a hospital setting due to doctors making wrong judgment calls. Oh, no. Doctors are not gods. They don't always know best. First of all, Natalia, that is scary and sad. I'm glad that he did not pass away. Hopefully he's doing well and there's no lasting impact from that. The joke, unfortunately, is that doctors are always practicing, never actually performing. They're always practicing, but I think the meaning behind it would be that doctors are constantly searching. And I will say this about Dr. Lewis. I think she honestly was searching for new information. She was looking for that discovery in her field. I think she might see herself as the one person on the earth who says, no, the earth's round, it's not flat, and everyone else is saying it's flat, and she's trying to convince everyone it's round. I think that's how she sees herself, but all the rest of us see ourselves as telling her, no, the earth's round, and she's saying, no, really, it's flat. So it's this argument, I'm not sure she's going to get anywhere with it, but it seems like professionally, at least, her ideas are not widely accepted, even though some of the DID is obviously a term now, but I don't know if she's actually even the one who founded it. Julie Stonks, did anyone find it strange the defense never played any videos? It was almost like they were hiding something. They were hiding several things. They were hiding Maria. They were hiding Taylor. They were hiding Harmony. They were hiding all those things because the acting was so bad. All right, we have about 20 minutes roughly before Dr. G comes on. I think we've got the Zoom. Zoom is up. Let me just make sure that I'm set up there. Just 1 second here. I'll turn this on. Video is going to be that. Oh, let's get rid of the blurred background, though. That was from my other meeting. I'm going to hide my self view. Make sure that he can hear me. I can hear him as well. Okay, we're all good. I think we're all set up once this starts. I'll stop my video just briefly. It is delayed. I hope it's not choppy for him. If it's choppy, we might have problems. We might have to have him call in instead of Zoom, but we'll make it
Call
work.
from Meanie Banana. To accept, press.
Hey, Meanie Banana. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing good. How are you?
Great.
I just called because Dr. Lewis, it strikes me that she probably does have dementia. She didn't recognize certain people, like her own son. I don't think that was really, some kind of a ploy. I think possibly she does have dementia. Just by the way, she got so angry. She was quick to anger when they were asking her questions. That's like typical person with dementia. Like I've worked in mental health for a very long time, so I kind of recognize some of the signs of it.
As far as dementia goes, she's what, 84, 85, right around there. Is that late in life for it to be developing? Typically, does it develop sooner, or is there really no pattern or time for when
There's really no
dementia
time
comes up?
for it. My father-in-law got it when he was like 87. He started developing it. So it can really set in at any time. There might be warning signs along the way, but I have a feeling that's why her son is there to kind of guard her and make sure she doesn't get in a bad situation.
Yeah. I'd like to think the son's there to help and not causing problems. It did. I was worried when we heard that he might have been the cause of 2 reprimands in the court, one for smoking and one for using a phone or filming during court. So
I think she needs him. I really do. I that's how I kind of look at it with her. And I wanted to tell you, I did send you something to your P.O. box.
Okay, I will head over there and check it out probably after the show today, if that's all right. I think
it'll be coming in tomorrow. It should be coming in tomorrow, between like tomorrow or the next day.
Sounds good. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, Meanie Banana.
Sure.
All right, have a good day. We'll see you.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. Stacey's saying, please repeat the jury questions from yesterday. I'm going to go quickly through them, if that's all right. We just have a few. Let me turn this down. Okay. So we're getting the questions from Zach DuPont, who is a journalist locally there in Colorado Springs. He's sitting, I believe, right behind Letecia. He's the gentleman that we see sort of between Letecia and Cook. So he says, question 1 had to do with in what way would Stauch giving Gannon enemas impact her relationship with him? And the answer was really like, it could be SA, but there's no evidence, and it could also not have happened. Question 2, did the number of cases drop at Bellevue after Lewis's dissociative identity disorder clinic opened? And I think the question was actually closed. Like after she left, did the number of diagnoses drop? Were they only there while she was there? And the answer was yes. Let me, sorry, the sound was off. I missed this one. Tactic Cutie, her slip of Letecia is guilty of killing Gannon, even though she tried to walk it back was the nail in the coffin. Yes, she did say that. That was it's always bad when your expert witness says you're guilty. So that was question 2. The question 3, how do you determine if someone is faking or exaggerating their mental illness or not? The answer was long-winded, but she said that you have to look how someone acts in an interview and look at evidence of it existing outside the interview in things like past writings. Number 4 was, did he perform any tests to help determine if Stauch was faking or exaggerating DID? And she simply said yes. Number 5 was, earlier you said people with DID are more susceptible to believe what people say to them. Then why do you openly talk about potential theories and explanations in front of the defendant during an interview? Her answer was long-winded and basically said, it's often good to run theories and questions past by defendants to see their responses, even if their answers can't be trusted, because the response can still inform on sanity. Number 6 was, if the EEG and the MRI weren't provided, how can you issue a final sanity report? And she says that she would only need those to confirm what she had already done.
I sent the caller to voicemail.
Oops.
Goodbye.
Sorry. She would only need those to confirm what she'd done. There was one more question, number 7, which this reporter did not get because his phone was blowing up with the request for people to tell what was going on. So he missed that last question. We'll have to see if anyone else in court possibly heard that. But what we've heard from people who were in court through some of the other channels that have talked to some of the court attendees were that they basically all the questions were of the same nature, and they pretty much nobody believed them. Nobody believed what was happening. Okay, we've got a call coming in right now. Just one second.
You're talking about
Tony
stuff that
Schaefer.
is not relevant.
Sonny Schaefer? How are you doing? This is Recovery Addict.
I'm good.
Is it Sunny or Sony?
Tony.
Oh, Tony. Okay, my apologies. Tony, what's on your mind today?
I was wondering about the fist bump.
Barbara Christina Healy just sent a super sticker with 0.99.
Sorry about that. The fist bump, there were 2 fist bumps. They both seemed completely out of place. I did not hear in the questioning what the purpose for them was. Like, is this sort of to check her reaction, to check her violence level? I mean, is there some sort of purpose there to make it happen? But yeah, they were awkward, beyond awkward, in both cases. And I think both of them came at times where she was saying, Maria, you've been very brave. Thank you for sharing this. And she's like, that's what I do. I kill people and I know things. That's what I do. But don't leave. She was, it was after she was reaffirming and encouraging by reaffirming her behavior that she did these fist bumps, which I think.
I was just wondering if Dr. G would think those were appropriate. It seems like she was, I want to say too friendly. I don't know if that's right, but she was trying to be friends, maybe.
Tony, I'm going to write that down. If we've got time, we'll include that in the interview with Dr. G to see what he thinks about that.
I just felt that it was so inappropriate, considering that we're here for a dead child, that it just seems so out of place. Maybe, I don't know.
I'm hearing Tony. I'm looking in chat that she said, "Nice to meet you" in the first fist bump. She held out her hand, and then she's like, "Meet fist," and so they did fist bump there. But we have to realize also this happened during the time of the pandemic. So initially, when these things went down, there was a lot of social pressure not to shake hands or to bump elbows or something like that. So that could also be a factor.
Oh, that's true. That's true. That's true. Well, I really appreciate you taking my call, and I have got nothing done since the month and a half that I've been watching you.
Tony, I'm so sorry. We've got to figure out a way where we can, have the screen over by the washer and dryer, so you can at least rotate the laundry briefly or something.
Right. I have you on a TV in my kitchen, so I can do dishes and things like that. But I just really appreciate your channel. Your mods, the people that are in here are the friendliest people I've ever met. They all have good things to say to each other, and it's just a really nice community. So I really appreciate it. And thank you for taking my call.
Tony, happy to do it. Thank you so much for calling. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
Bye. All right. We're getting close to crunch time. Let me set up a couple more things here. Super sources, box source 1 is going to be 3, box 2 is going to be 1. There we go. I think that'll work. Also, I forgot. 1 second. We've got one more thing I need to line up here. Our special guest. There we go. All right. I think we're getting close now. Is Dr. G coming? Yes, he's going to be available starting about noon. So we've got about 10 minutes before he's done with his appointments for the day, and he'll have an opening. So he'll be joining in on Zoom when that happens. I see some. The text messages are going nuts here. I'm not sure if. Let's see. We're getting props for a lot of people saying good stuff here. Ask Dr. G what he thinks. This is from Hope in chat. It says, ask Dr. G what he thinks of Dr. Lewis's body language while in the interview with LS. I noticed she was rubbing her arm a lot and nodding, yet in police interrogations, they rarely show any of that. And the first fist bump felt staged. So we're going to talk about that fist bump as well. See, Pegs from the live chat says, I need someone on your channel to watch the most recent video on Michelle After Dark, star witness Dr. Dorothy Lewis reduces court Another case in 1990. Serial killer, she says, and does the exact same. The line, she claims, the MRI, all of it is the same. So many answers for you. Please watch or ask Maud. So it sounds like there's another case where this has happened. Dark Star Witness, Dr. Dorothy Lewis reduces court, I guess is the name of the channel or the video. We'll have to send somebody to look at that. Anna just gifted a membership. Thank you so much, Anna. Appreciate that, as does whoever received it. Let's see who that was. Looks like that one went to Woody. Woody, congratulations. Please take your seat. Misbehaving. I saw you left a voicemail here. I don't know when I'm going to catch up. I have... From this morning, I have 78 messages and 16 voicemails and over 100 missed calls. I don't know when I'm going to catch up. I need a burner phone that can do more than what this one does, for sure. Have an easy day. Thank you for the super chat there. I appreciate that. We've got a call coming in as well. We've got some time before Dr. G, so we'll take a couple. Misbehaving. Thank you. Tell me a little bit. And Mrs. R.A. walked in. We've got everything happening. Tell me a little bit what's on your mind, Misbehaving.
Hey, recovery addict. Thank you for taking my call. Just really quick, I didn't know if anyone had said this, but when we talked to Dr. G, I'm a licensed nurse practitioner in several states, but I'm not allowed to assess or take on patients that are outside of my state of licensure. So I'm just wondering how the judge and allow that testimony from Dr. Lewis even in, like how she even considered an expert witness without being licensed in the state. That was just my question.
Yeah, I wonder if they view it differently between evaluating and treating. If there's some sort of distinction where she as a professional under the guidance and request of a legal representation can come in and do that. But it's curious, and maybe Dr. G can help. We've got that question about licensure on there, misbehaving, so we're definitely going to try to ask that.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much
for covering on that. Thank you.
All right, we'll see you. All right, Mrs. R.A. is here, but we have a super chat as well that I found somewhere. Have an easy day. Send a super chat. Thank you for that. I don't know if I missed another. Oh, right here. TW says, SBLF, this is the Sarah Boone Letter Fund. Which TW keeps contributing to. We have requested a letter that Sarah Boone sent to the governor. We've asked for a copy of that, and we still have not received that from Governor DeSantis' office. Every time I call, they say, yep, you're on the list, but we can't tell you how long it's going to take. I'm not sure if anyone gets anything out of that office because they have no legal requirement to comply other than that they are supposed to do it. Anyway, we're going to see. Spicy maple bourbon pickles, please. Peace. Thank you. Mrs. R.A. is in the house. Mrs. R.A., do you want to talk about anything? Nope. I'm just here to tell you that your music did not play at the beginning, so I think you have that same problem. The music didn't play at the beginning of this one? Or the first two were bad? Okay. Did the music not play on this one? Can anyone? I thought they said it was working. No music? I think you're on an old one. You watch an old one. We had major malfunction here, audio-wise. Okay. Go to the live one. I think it's a little bit better. Everyone's saying hi, by the way. Hi. Thank you. Tony, thank you for gifting 5 memberships. For those that are asking, yes, Booper as well. Today we have no court. Every Thursday, this court handles other issues on the docket. And so the judge is handling other things, and this, so we get every Thursday off in the Letecia Stauch trial. We believe this will be the last Thursday off because we believe this court will not go in jury deliberation for another week. So after this, we'll be back to our regular schedule with whatever court we were able to follow, and we're still making that decision. But see, she is not a patient, says DOA. So instead of court today, we have Dr. G. Dr. G is going to come on the episode here on the live stream and answer some questions. He is a clinical psychologist as well as a behavior analysis expert. And so he's going to answer some questions. We've had him on before, and it was fantastic. We've been taking questions from you guys to ask him as well, mostly related to the testimony of Dr. Lewis, which we've seen over the last couple days. Okay. Let's see if we have anything else. Misbehaving says, please ask Dr. G about Goldwater rule psychology. Okay, this is beyond me, so I'm going to have to write this down directly. Misbehaving. Can you also send me a little explanation about what that is? Goldwater rules psychology. Okay, it's on my list. Hopefully we can get that to him. I don't know what his agenda is as far as how soon he'll have to bail. He sort of agreed to come in on very short notice. What time for Dr. G? He should be on shortly after noon, so we've got just a couple minutes. Yes, she kept referring to Goldwater psychology. Okay, maybe he can fill us in. DOA says, I'm sorry, but or Kit says to DOA, I'm sorry, but every time I hear your name, I think of Dead on Arrival. Mary Kay, roses for Mrs. R.A. Mother's Day is approaching fast, Mary Kay. I'm actually working on the gift for her right now, not right now, but very soon. So we'll get that taken care of shortly. Okay, I don't know why back here is green. Do you see green back over there? There's nothing that should be green over there. Weird. My room is glowing, funny colors. Debbie, welcome to the jury. Thank you so much for being a member of the jury. Appreciate your support. The jury gets padded seats, and you also get a little side view that's not obscured by the lawyers. So wonderful. Thank you for your support there. Good to have you, Debbie. I sent Colorado Insanity Law to the burner. Thanks, little miss. The law was referenced a couple times yesterday. Many times the prosecution asked Dr. L to say what the law was, and she couldn't do it. She didn't know. She said, "You tell me what it is," and he's like, "No, you were supposed to diagnose somebody based on the law in Colorado. You have diagnosed them based on the law in Colorado, and now you tell me what you based it on." And she couldn't do it. She did not recall. Remember when I volunteered as burner secretary? Cachette, I do remember. You volunteered for a couple things. We probably need to take you up on at least one of them. We'll see how that goes. Yes, I would ask that when Dr. G comes on, please be respectful of him as this. He is a professional, and whether or not you agree with his opinions, I'd ask that as a guest on the show that we show him the respect that he deserves for his time. The way I handle guests, I sort of expect you guys to do the same thing. If you disagree, let's find a way to do it in a very very constructive way and keep the conversation positive. So far, I will say that the videos I've watched seem to resonate with me as he's described situations and behavior and put a meaning on it. To me, it just feels right. So I have not heard anything from Dr. G that doesn't just sound good. That isn't just good. Let's see. Please ask Dr. G if he ever treated or has known a patient needing therapy from being on a jury. And we need to stop soundbite for dog training. We need to stop it, and we also need this one right here. Don't go. We need don't go. Dr. G is solid. Well said, Roxanne. Very much. You know what? I think we have Dr. G in house right now. Let me just get the setup. Make sure I've got everything right. I'm going to pin him here. All right. I've got to give him a video, so I'm showing video back. I'll come over here. Sorry, Dr. G, we're getting organized.
All good.
And I've got your audio in, so let's bring on here. All right, we have in the background. Oh, I've got you cropped down just a little bit. Well, we'll switch this up a little bit. I was going to say we have in the background a peaceful screensaver. Let's go here. Let's go there. There we go. That's a little better. Now we're not chopped off at the top of the head, and I will get rid of me there and this one here. Okay. We're all good. Welcome. Dr. G is in the house from Dr. G Explains. I appreciate you coming on very short notice. Thank you so much. You've been watching the trial this week as well with especially Dr. Lewis. And before I start asking you questions rapid fire like we want to do, I'd love to just have you take us up to speed with what you've observed in this trial, especially with Dr. Lewis particularly, and any behavior or anything you'd like to go. Basically, you've got free reign. Ready, set, go.
All right. So as you know, I'm going to have a lot of feelings about this one. This has been challenging for me because I don't go into this. Obviously, I have a lot of strong feelings about this case, as many of us do. And I don't go into this going, I'm going to disagree with everything Dr. Lewis says. And yet I basically do. So there are many things, and it's almost hard to rank order some of the most challenging things she said. But there's one thing that she started off with relatively early on, and it was really all downhill from there, where she said that a possibility of how the murder occurred was that she was having a complex partial seizure and was acting in a repetitive motion. That is, I genuinely cannot believe what I was hearing. And she repeated it. So it was not an accident. It's just unbelievable to me.
Yeah, that was, it sounded like she was branching out from her initial, I'm not sure if that was in the report as well. It sounded like she was just branching out and saying it could be this, it could be that, it could be.
I'm not sure if she knew it was in the report based on some of her testimony. Sorry, I shouldn't say that.
I'm not sure if she knew anything. As far as there was nothing on her side where she cited information, report. So as we mentioned here, as we saw here, it was always remind me what it is. I don't recall that. You read it to me, and then I'll answer the question. It was cringe from the start.
And for the things that she did seem to remember well in terms of her own background, in terms of things that she discussed from her perspective, that I think she probably would have always said in her career, I thoroughly disagreed with, like the idea that serial killers can get by with what they do. I don't know if you remember her saying this, but something to the effect of like serial killers are easy at not being identified because of their multiple personalities. So the personality that kills is different from the other one, so people don't realize it because they can be nice and get along with society. And that is just objectively wrong and completely not based in anything that I've never heard that before, literally ever.
So. Okay, so we have to ask. She's basically been shunned by a lot of the community, her peers. We didn't hear a lot of questions or her telling about peer-reviewed articles she's written, things she's co-sponsored or research she's participated in on a broad scale within the spectrum. Is she fully discredited, or? I mean,
it probably depends on who you. It's hard for me to. I have a very hard time imagining another psychiatrist or psychologist watching that testimony and believing that and agreeing with much of what she said. I could be wrong, but so discredited in the context of this case, it's hard to imagine not. Overall, some people may say, well, that doesn't represent her overall body of work. I don't know, but I would probably not ever defer to her judgment on psychological matters.
So the last couple of days, I know you said you were going to try to watch as much of this testimony as you could. It was difficult to watch for a couple of reasons. We had major audio challenges. Sometimes we had no audio whatsoever.
Right.
Video was better than some of the earlier videos we've seen. As far as that goes, what did you pick out from either behavior analysis from either Letecia or Dr. Lewis during that, or in the audio from some of? We finally saw some more of the personalities. What stood out to you? What can you tell us about that?
Well, so a couple of body language things. One thing that really made me laugh was, and I'll answer that question more directly in a second, but I just want to mention this, is that when Dr. Lewis was talking about some of the sort of excuses for why Letecia was probably psychotic and they weren't lies, Letecia looked like she couldn't believe herself what she was hearing. She was impressed with what Dr. Lewis was saying. So like her body language said, oh, wow, this is interesting. So even during the brief moments that she was engaged, because she was pretty engaged for the first while, and then once I think we could all feel the energy going down, she put her head down and stayed down. But as far as the actual interviews themselves, the audio was terrible, but the body language from Letecia showed like she was excited, like she was being to put on a performance. That was acting right there. Like she was going, I have an audience, and they're buying it. Like, this is great. Like, she genuinely looked excited during the last hour-long interview when she had the confession note. Once again, I know it was a little hard to hear, but like the
Latin one?
The Latin. I question whether or not it was funny that they said Latin, because I assume they said that just because it said "Requiescat in pace" on it, which means rest in peace. Most people know that. It doesn't mean she doesn't have to speak Latin. So I assume that. But yes, that confession. She seemed very animated and excited about that. She seemed to think that that was the most energized I think I've seen her on pretty much anything outside of the police bride, of course. But
yeah, the only similarity I saw was in the police interview when she was telling stories and she thought she was being believed. That's the same behavior I saw, where she thought she has an audience. They believe me. I'm leading them along. This is working. And Dr. Lewis gave that to her in spades. And speaking of that, I've got a bunch of questions. I've been taking taking notes in this book that was sent to me. So, I'm a milk drinker, if you don't know. So we've got some questions. I want to talk specifically about that and about leading the witness in the courtroom. The jury, the judge will say you can't lead the witness. There'll be an objection if you lead the witness. In the practice here, where she's being evaluated by Dr. Lewis, it would be more leading the patient. And we saw that, and specifically there was a time that stood out where she took the pen and had her write, and she handed it to her and she gave it to her right hand. It was almost placing it in her hand. And then the next time she reached across to her left hand and handed it to her left hand to say, now write again. Was Dr. Lewis coaching behavior from her?
I'm not saying that she was consciously doing it, but it's about as leading as you could possibly be in a situation like that. And I don't know if she's just used to feeling like she goes into situations where people have this diagnosis, so she treats them that way. It may be very different than how I've approached evaluations, because in my experience, let's say that I do a parental fitness evaluation, which is forensic, although it doesn't sound like it, but we're seeing if a parent is fit to take care of their kids. Your goal is just to make sure the kid is safe, like whether or not the parent is able to parent or not. I just want to know reality. I have no motive there other than to make sure that the kid's safe. That's it. Simple as that. So when you go into a situation like that, it's hard not to be objective. You just want to know. You don't lead it anywhere because you have no objective other than just finding out reality. A situation like this, it felt very much like and I'm not saying that this is true. Maybe this is absolutely wrong. I don't know. But it seemed as that she had decided, that we have this story, we have this person with multiple personalities or dissociative identities, and she was playing along with it. Dr. Lewis was sort of playing into that fact. Yes, there was things that were, if you were trying to just find out the reality of the situation, you would not say. There were many things that felt leading. There were many things that I still can't believe that the attorney was in there. That
was one of our questions. Is that ever appropriate? Is there?
No, absolutely not. I'm trying to think if that could be appropriate, because I thought about that some of like, when would I ever do something like that? And so it just,
let's say if a defendant is somebody wants to, if the expert is from the opposing counsel, sure, right? Yep. And you have counsel yourself, they want to interrogate me. I would like my lawyer present. Is that still not appropriate in the medical realm? Whereas if it was the opposing lawyer that wants to do a deposition, of course you'd have your own representation with you.
I've never had anybody request that, but if they did, I would say you have to sit invisible from them and say literally nothing. Like, I wouldn't look at you. I mean, I still wouldn't feel appropriate.
Well, luckily, so Maria couldn't see them, right? She's like, you're not there.
Unless they were asking about Harley, in this case, it changed. But yeah.
Oh man, that was funny. You mentioned a little bit about doing an analysis about a parent, see if they're fit to be parents. Sure. It triggered a question that I had earlier that was asked, where people were saying, with Dr. Lewis's behavior, and this sort of ties in with what the judge had said is in the form of reprimand when he was talking about filming or using a cell phone in court. He says, you've got to remember why we're here. And he says, there is an 11-year-old child that's been murdered, and a lady who's facing, up to life in prison accused of committing that. It seemed like at points, in my chat at least, that chat said this doctor is not treating the situation the way she should. With the way she's talking about, the victim, never mentions Gannon, and I'm fine with that. I realize that a lot of times on defense they don't want to put a name on it because that makes it very personal. But should she have behaved a little bit better based on the situation?
I would have. I mean, I suppose it's up to everybody's professional judgment in terms of how they acted. But I was surprised by that as well. Actually, there was a moment. I can't be more specific because I can't remember exactly what it was, but where she had laughed and was smiling, and it felt really inappropriate given the context of what they were talking about at that exact moment. So yeah, I thought I was uncomfortable. I was uncomfortable with how she acted at times. So yeah, I would say so. Like I said, everybody's allowed to behave as they please. It's not that it's unethical. I just wouldn't do it.
So with if you were called to do something that obviously Dr. Lewis was called to do and analyze somebody for DID, what would it look like for you to walk in and start? What would you look like? What would you ask? How would that test? Would you have them draw a clock? I mean, where would you start?
And I'll come back. I'll circle back to the clock because I did look up what it is that they were doing. But so if I was going to test somebody, so if somebody said we believe this person has DID. Now, first of all, I would hope that there's no predisposed idea of what diagnosis they're looking for. I would much prefer a clean slate of. But if somebody says somebody's engaged and somebody's been murdered, I would want to go, okay, well now I got to figure out what test to give. But in essence, basically, usually you use a bunch of tests that have validity, like an IQ test, things like that. There are a variety of tests that we might use just to see how they perform on them. They talked about the MMPI, which is a really well a long used test for personality and traits and things like that. But first, I would give them a number of tests, see how they performed on those, and then I would do a long clinical interview, which would basically be asking various questions, open-ended questions, see how they responded, and then I would find where to hone in based on that. So if I get data from a bunch of questionnaires, for example, or various tests that I've given that suggest that she is psychotic or that has some sort of psychosis or something like that, I would ask a lot about their history, but it would be a lot of open-ended questions that they would have to guide. I would know what questions to ask, but I'm certainly not going to. There was at one point she had said to one of the personalities or alleged personalities, like she was trying to be understanding towards them, and there's things like that you just don't do. It's strange. You never legitimize what you think is psychotic ever, because that reinforces it. So if somebody is experiencing something that isn't there, you don't go, oh yeah, I bet that's actually there. You say something like, well, my perception of it's different, but I hear you saying that you see that, something like that. Like you never legitimize those things.
So would there ever be a point as a clinical psychologist where you'd say, I hear what you're saying, but I think you're maligning, or I think you might not be telling me the truth? Do you ever call them on that?
No, I wouldn't call them on that because I want to see how far they're going to take it. I want to know from as much of a blank slate as I can. I might say things that make it obvious that I know that. I'm not going to directly say I think you're lying, but I might say, well, now you're saying this, but earlier you said this. Can you give me some clarity about that? Can you say
confrontation's okay, but
sure, confrontation's okay, but I wouldn't call them out for like outright lying. But most people could probably figure out what you're getting at when you're asking them questions that they've given you conflicting information on.
Okay. I've got a special question from my wife, Mrs. R.A., that she wrote down for me to read to you. So I'm going to read this verbatim. It says that Dr. Lewis appears to show a willingness to lie in order to get what she wants. How can she see or condemn that same quality in her patients when she's actively using it?
So, that's good. That's a good question. Let me think about that for a second. So, okay, the one thing I'll say,
I can preface it with a little bit with the lie. I mean, that might be a harsh word, but there were points in testimony where Dr. Lewis said specifically, I don't have these documents. I don't have them. Told the judge on direct, I don't have the documents. Yeah. And 3 minutes later, she was put in a spot where she needed those documents. She's like, oh, let me pull the documents out. I've got them. So it seems like that's what she was referencing. My wife was referencing.
I understand. Like saying, can you identify this person? No, it's your son. Oh, okay. Yeah, right. Like I get, there were moments that were questionable, right? I understand that. But how can somebody, well, if people lack insight, they can do all sorts of things. So if somebody, the rules for themselves don't always apply to others. I know plenty of people that, unfortunately, have practiced that way. So, a lot of it has to do with insight and awareness and how much control you need. I'm somebody who has zero interest in controlling people, so I try to practice what I preach. That's not true of everybody. So some people don't have problems with lying themselves, but then when it comes to a patient or something like that, they'll really get on them about that kind of thing. So that's a very difficult question to answer. I mean, I'd like to answer it more strongly, but I'm a little hesitant to, honestly.
And I'm being told I have a typo in your A psychologist. I think I spelled it wrong.
Close. I didn't notice.
We'll make
Yeah,
it go
close
away.
enough.
There we go. You didn't see what you just think you saw. All right. You got a couple more questions here, obviously. And anything if you'd like to speak on a topic that I haven't asked you on that you prepared, I'd love for you to share that as well. So we had a question from Chris Wallace who says, does Dr. G believe in DID?
I believe that there are people who can dissociate that may feel like a different person at times. Do I believe that there are people with 10 different personalities with 10 different names? I do not. No, I don't. I believe that that the diagnosis exists, but that it is very rare and that it is not in the form that, certainly not in the form that they portrayed it in this trial. So I believe it is possible that DID exists. Yes.
Would the likelihood, by extensions here, would the likelihood of the condition being faked be increased by the number of personalities? So like the extreme case, they listed like 2,500 personalities.
Yes.
Okay.
I think a real case of DID might be like 2. Okay. So yes.
Okay. Let's see. Lisa Wilmot was asking, can you ask about Dr. Lewis's court behavior? Lisa, I can't read my own handwriting.
Welcome to the club. I can't read mine either. I took some notes earlier. I was like, oh, can't read those. I guess I'm just going to wing it.
I don't know. What was there? Was there anything about her court behavior? As far as hand motions, behavior, body language.
The body language doesn't say much. I mean, just because of her advanced age, I think that there were a lot of positions and stuff. I try not to read too much into, like, she crossed her arms a lot during the interview and stuff, and like held on tightly. And I think that may be more physical than anything about what's going on. So I tried not to read too much into her body language because because it was challenging. I think in terms of her behavior, though, she absolutely refused to agree with the prosecution on literally anything. I think he could have asked, is the sky blue? And she would have been like, well, some people think that the sky is blue, but I don't know if I can say that it's blue.
Yeah. That was funny. Let me ask this one from Red Pen and Dreamscape. Both asked about the son being in the room, not just in court, but in the interrogation or in the analysis interview in jail, and basically everywhere she goes, the son was also there for the HBO documentary. Yeah. What is your take on that? Or what do you draw from that?
I mean, it feels very inappropriate to me. I mean, my first take on that is that I would be really concerned the licensing board was going to be sending me an email that day as soon as the trial aired. It's like, Jesus. Having her son in the room, especially because he's, to the best of my knowledge, he's not a psychiatrist as well. Does anybody know if he is? I don't think that he is.
I haven't found anyone that said that he is.
I presume that she would have pointed that fact out had he been. But so, I mean, even then, it still would have been strange and inappropriate because it wouldn't have been his patient even if he was one. So there was, she said he was operating the camera. So to have a personal relationship with somebody and to have them involved in that way with patients is, I would say that's wildly inappropriate. So that was my first reaction. I still was scratching my head about that one. As far as him being involved with the documentary and all that stuff, that's less surprising just because maybe they're very close. And I try not to read too much into that part of it, but being included with patients, that is a boundary that I just would never have considered it, frankly. I would have never thought about having a family member in there to help. I mean, like, if I need something to drink and I'm like, if I'm doing a telehealth with a patient, I would never have like my wife come in and hand me a drink. I just have to wait until after I was done. Like, even that feels inappropriate. So
I'm lucky I don't have those same restrictions. I have gophers constantly bringing me stuff. JT Brews Crime has asked a question here in chat. He says, what does Dr. G think about Billy Milligan? And I think if I'm correct, this was the one where we heard the voice where it's like, don't go. Yeah, that one. Did you hear that part of the trial?
You'll have to refresh my memory. I'm trying to pick. I want to make sure I'm responding to the right thing.
Dr. Lewis was saying in a previous case that she had been trying to talk with one of these alters, and she was like, I need to leave, and right as she goes to the door, the patient, who was a female, starts speaking in the male's voice.
Don't go.
And you hear that little "don't go" thing. That was my impression of it. but did that stand out to you? Is that
stood out to me about as much as the Russian Hispanic accent did, which is like,
it was flawless, right? It was perfect.
It was, when somebody believes they have an audience, they can get very theatrical, right? And so usually evaluations with people who are seriously mentally ill, well, they can be dangerous and they can be scary. They're not usually dramatic, so when you see things like that, I just sort of roll my eyes. I'm like, come on. It just she's very experienced. Has seen lots of patients, clearly has been on boards in hospitals and stuff, but the level of naivety is puzzling to me. Because I am a born skeptic when it comes to this stuff. So I just don't understand.
Would you, if you were going in to question somebody who is accused of murder and might have this condition, would you wear a nice scarf around your neck and a cane to beat you with? Did that raise a red flag? I realize that's probably the jail issue more than anything. They should probably have said something, but that just didn't seem safe.
I've got a constant awareness of those things. I mean, I would say that. Yeah, maybe she's more trusting of her patients because she's always worked on the side of the defense. So maybe she just doesn't. She knows that she's there to support them or whatever. So maybe she just doesn't feel threatened by them. I constantly feel threatened by people in situations like that. I really do. I can still remember one time I was with somebody who, and this was, I learned to never. This helped me learn to never do anything like this again. I'll keep this brief, but I worked in a hospital, and it was an inner city hospital. And so my office was a literal closet, like literally a closet. And when I got in there, I got a new patient and they sat blocking the door. The first thing they said was, I want to be remembered as the greatest serial killer of all time. And I'm like, I literally can't leave this room. After that, I had a very good awareness of my surroundings.
Let me help you with that. Let me go grab something that will help. It's an officer.
Yeah, it was not that far from it, actually. So yeah, if you've ever had a bad experience, you never forget, and you never put yourself in that kind of situation. So yeah, I'm surprised that she did, honestly.
Okay, let me take you back a little bit. You mentioned the licensing board a little bit ago, and questions about licensure came up in the cross exam here.
Sure.
I'm new to this. I don't know what the rules are, and obviously Colorado law might be different than what you're familiar with. Can you give us an overview from an expert witness standpoint of where licensure is important in a case like this?
So you can practice in the state that you are licensed in, obviously. And if a state has reciprocity, what that means is if I move to a state with reciprocity, then I don't have to take new tests because there's really difficult tests you got to take. I don't have to talk to the board to do an oral exam or any of the stuff that I had to do to initially get my license. That's what reciprocity means. It doesn't mean that if Florida has reciprocity that I can just go in Florida and practice. It means that I can go and then apply for a licensure there, and that the restrictions will be fairly low. So she talks about, so to understand why I bring that up, she kept saying, well, there's reciprocity in Colorado, so it's fine. I didn't need to ask anybody. That's not at all how it works. You have to ask. Even for a temporary license, you got to say, hey, I need a temporary, and they probably would have granted it to her, but it doesn't sound like she asked for one. She's just practicing license-free in Colorado, which is a big problem.
And I think she's licensed, she said, in North New York, where it's maybe very expensive to maintain the license, so she keeps that one. Would that be where any penalty is dealt out? Is that where it would happen? Would New York
That's a good question, actually. Fortunately, I've never had to deal with this, so I don't know. I would assume it would probably actually be probably in Colorado, I would think.
So she might lose her privilege to ever do that again in Colorado,
But she could be sanctioned by the New York licensing board. I would think that the New York licensing board, if there was a complaint from the Colorado situation, the New York licensing board could sanction her for that. Yeah, I've never had a complaint, so I've never directly had to deal with that.
Let's keep that record spotless for you.
Yeah.
That's awesome. A couple behaviors that stood out. I think there were 2 fist bumps during the interview. And I've mentioned that a possible explanation is the COVID restrictions, that was about the time period. Was there something weird about that, or was that just normal, just like a greeting? One of them came at the end, right?
When it comes to situations like that, I think it's really important to build rapport with people, but I don't build it like that. I don't, unless it's Well, usually I don't even shake hands in those kinds of situations. I'm trying to think if I have before, but my body language will be back off enough to where they don't try to offer their hand or something like that. So I think it's a little, it shows an attempt to feel close to them, right? Like I go into situations like this to just get objective information. I could care less if people like me or not when I leave. I don't want people to dislike me so much that they won't answer my questions. But it felt a little warmer than I would probably be in a situation like that, if I'm being honest. So,
all right, this one I'm asking a question I have know nothing about. So help me here if I'm asking it wrong. But
yeah, sure.
Misbehaving is saying, can you have Dr. G explain or talk about the Goldwater rule psychology?
Yeah, basically, you're not supposed to diagnose from afar. So basically, like if I was to say, Letecia has this diagnosis, I'm 100% sure of it, I have diagnosed her with that, the Goldwater rule would say, well, you can't do that because you haven't ever actually interviewed her or you haven't done this. You could talk about behaviors that are consistent with certain behaviors. It depends in the sense that there's different people that will say you absolutely should not talk about anything related to diagnosis. And then some people at the school have thought, well, you can talk about diagnoses, but as long as you're not saying this person 100% is this, and I've diagnosed them with that. So
that, I think that might have come up a little bit in this case because it seems that the doctor very early on presented the idea of a DID defense to the defense before she even met with the patient. So is that what it's addressing?
The Goldwater rule has more to do with media. That would be more like if I was to say, if I was to say right here, okay, Letecia has DID, I'm diagnosing her with that, I'm 100% certain of that, and that's what her diagnosis is. That would be violating the Goldwater rule. If you're diagnosing somebody with a disorder without fully meeting them, that's just not very good practice. That's not the Goldwater.
Okay. Thank you. Here's another one. We had a question about you personally in your practice, and I realize you can't divulge some things, but have you ever had an opportunity, or have you ever had to treat someone for some mental health issues that they acquired by serving on a jury?
I've had people process stuff. I've never had somebody come in specifically because they've been in a jury, but I've worked with people for a long time that have been on juries, and I have had to work with people on that were anxious, that had intrusive thoughts because of the stuff that they had seen. So that has actually happened, yeah. But they didn't come to me for that. They were already a patient.
Okay, I'm going to ask some more questions in that line of realm later on, but I've got a couple others I want to go back to. Cindelicious here says, question, what do you think about the missing and not missing paperwork situation? Felt like dog ate my homework.
I think they gave her a lot of leeway, presumably because of her seniority and the positions she's held and all of that, because I thought that was nuts. I don't think most people providing expert testimony could get away with that. Like, the prosecutor was pretty brutal, but he could have been a lot worse. So I thought that was shocking. I couldn't completely wrap my head around that. And what also shocked me was that the judge didn't strike her. And if he did, maybe I missed it, but I don't remember him saying, jury, forget what she just said, related to her claiming that she had papers that Maria Sanchez was a name that some relative had talked about when she was a kid. And then she just couldn't substantiate it. Well, I got this piece of paper that I kind of take notes on. I was surprised that the judge didn't say disregard that because, and it's not criticism of him. I was just surprised he didn't because
I think maybe the lawyer missed an opportunity, because I think the judge, a lot of times he would rule on something and he would be happy to, but the lawyer might have to step up and raise the flag and say, hey, judge. And he's like, you're right. I was waiting for you to call it.
Right. Yeah. It's hearsay.
He's sort of the umpire, but he waits for someone to yell foul first.
Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah.
But let's see. We had a couple others I missed here. Let me go back. Let's see. Kitty Kitty Bang Bang says, Dr. G, when you feel threatened by a client, do you have anybody with you for protection, and who?
I've never had anybody with me for protection specifically. I mean, when I've done things in a forensic setting, like when I've gone into a prison, I mean, I could, wave to a guard or something like that. And there's been other situations where we have things recorded for my own safety, but no, I've never had anybody with me for protection. When I worked in a hospital, when I worked at the inner city hospital, I mean, we had lots of people there that we would have to get to come intervene if somebody was acting in a way that was unsafe. But I've never had to be like, hey, I need somebody in here with me during this evaluation. So usually if it's that bad, they're already in handcuffs. So.
and then you're a little safer.
Yeah.
Alicia Stroop says, does Dr. G think that Letecia has any mental issues that might have led up to killing Gannon? Sorry, I struggled on that question. Can you read? Make it through.
Yeah, I mean, I the challenge with answering this question is that mental issues is very broad, right? Anxiety is a mental issue. As they referenced that she was diagnosed by Dr. Torres with borderline personality with narcissistic features. I have no reason to believe that that's wrong. So I think that Dr. Torres hit the nail on the head with that one, or was close to it.
Dr. Lewis hit the nail on the head, we felt, at one point, because she did come out and testify that she believed the client was guilty, the defendant was guilty. Was that a mistake? As far as, I mean, as an expert witness, there's some words you probably shouldn't say, and it's the ones that the prosecution wants you to say, usually if you're on the defense side. What was your impression of that?
I would have very much, I certainly would not have used those words. If I was in this position, I was trying to respond to something like that. I'd say, no, like she isn't guilty. She, wasn't in her right state of mind. So Letecia, no, she's not guilty, but she may have committed the act or something to that effect. Right. I certainly wouldn't use the word guilty.
It sounded bad, just the way it came out.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask a couple questions. We did this a little bit last time you were on as well, but this case, I do an open phone call-in, and we're not going to do that right now, so don't start calling the burner phone. But this case has brought a lot of feelings for a lot of people up. People who've been through some very traumatic experiences when they're young, as well as relationships that went poorly or weren't what they thought they would be when they got into it. For those of us that are looking at this and sometimes feel like I just need to step away for a minute, what would you tell us as when do we seek help? When we're considering our own mental health, and barring a judge's order or a complete emotional breakdown, when should somebody go out and reach out to someone like you and say, hey, I just need to talk?
So there's a couple of lines that I feel like once they're crossed, then you've got to take a step back. If you're having a hard time sleeping because you're thinking about this, right? Like maybe once, if it's like you've been watching it late or something like that, I get that. But like, if you're still thinking about this at night and it's disrupting like your daily activities in some way, or it's bothering you so much that you've sort of lost a day focusing on it, not, watching Recovery Act, of course, but something like, that you went to get some work done afterwards, or you wanted to hang out with your family, but you just couldn't feel present. That's when you probably should go, I need to talk with somebody I can help unload some of this, because we got to be able to compartmentalize this stuff somewhat. And if it's invading our personal time when we don't want it to, that's really the line for me.
Okay. And I realize that publicly for a long time, seeking mental help, there's been a stigma around it. Mm-hmm. Can you give us just a top-down view of what that first visit would look like if you said, hey, I guess I need to talk to a shrink type thing,
Sure.
What does a first office visit look like?
The first office visit we call an intake. So basically you talk a lot about what's bothering you right now. And then we go back and get a general personal history, things you've been through, whether you've been on medication, been to a therapist before, if there's any trauma. I mean, it can be hard for a lot of people, especially if they've never done it before, because you're having to talk to somebody you don't know, hopefully that you like, okay, but somebody that you don't know yet. And they're asking you very personal things. And that's challenging. So it can feel a little uncomfortable at first. But in essence, yeah, it's really just a matter of trying to build rapport with somebody, trying to see if this is somebody you can connect with, and hopefully they can help define what the issue seems to be so that you know exactly what you're going to do next. That's always my goal, is that, hey, when we're done, we got some goals. This is what we're going to help you resolve. And if there aren't any, then we go, okay, well, we're going to work till we figure some out.
How long does treatment for, say I've got something, I can't sleep at night, so I've got this issue in life, whether it's job related or family related, relationship, whatever's happening. If I can't sleep at night, how long does it take to get normal? Do I have to wait for the issue to resolve, or are you able to give people tools that they can learn to handle things?
Well, good question. So I'm a cognitive behavioral therapist. So my model is short term. Some people I do see for a long time, but usually my goal is like between 4 and 8 sessions we can get through if there's specific issues we need to address. If it's something that's much deeper or that it's much more significant, it might take longer. And, some people just enjoy therapy every week and it helps them continue to work through whatever issues they're dealing with. So some people it lasts much longer, but usually a couple of months, I'd say, is pretty much on average for when I try to help people resolve stuff.
That's awesome. I hope I've opened up the door a little bit, so maybe people will seek help if they feel, if you're not sleeping at night because of something, maybe they'll make a call and you get some help.
The one thing I do want to say about that though is, and I think this is really important, is that like if you go to a session with a therapist and you don't like them, talk to a different one. Like not every personality works for every patient, and that is super important because I have a lot of people that immediately they click with me. They like my personality, I work quick and all that, and some people want somebody that very slow and quiet, and that ain't me. So don't think you're going to get that from me. Go see somebody that does that, because there's lots of different therapists out there, and if you don't feel it click, see somebody else.
Find one that fits.
Yeah,
I've got a few more questions coming in. If we can jump back, I realize we've been all over the place. This is sort of how my mind works. If that's any insight.
Yeah, I hear you.
Carrie Arnold says, what was the reasoning for Letecia and Dr. L meeting over the weekend? From your expert witness vantage point, that they met on Sunday for 3 hours right before she came in to testify, and then she was late to court 4 times in a row. But is that wrong to have a meeting right at the last minute? Is that something you would do?
It's odd. I mean, I think it's necessarily wrong. If there's a rationale for it, I wouldn't want it to be like a strategy meeting. That would be inappropriate. If it was because, I feel like to be able to inform my expert testimony, there's more information I need. Although it sounded like she had more information than she could keep up with. So I don't think that's probably it. So I don't know what that was about. That's puzzling to me. I wouldn't have done that, probably.
Okay. I've got a question from Lil Miss. I can't find the other half of it. She's asking about the McNaughton rule. Is that something you're familiar with you could speak on?
The McNaughton rule. Is this, hold on. I got to look this up. There's so many freaking rules I got to keep up with. Is this the one? Is this a mandated reporting rule? I'm just trying to even remember right now, honestly.
We can have somebody search for that for us. You don't have to do that right now.
Okay.
Okay. We'll move on to another one here. There was a question about fronting an alternate on demand. Let's see who brought that up here. I want to give him credit here. Let's see. Oh, right here. Bunny, I think, says, can someone with DID front an alter on demand? I found it strange the doc wanted to speak to Maria, and Maria magically appeared.
And this is what's so puzzling to me about, she's a DID expert. She's apparently seen lots of people with it, and yet she finds this okay, because that's not how it works. Once again, there was another thing she said that I fundamentally disagree with, which she said that oftentimes the alters are the abuser, which runs exact opposite to everything I understand about DID, which is that you're trying to protect yourself from the abuser, not become them. So there's so many things that she said that are literally diametrically opposed to everything I understand about DID.
There were some questions about initially when Dr. Lewis agreed to take the case, she gave a list of demands, and some of them involved an MRI and an EEG, and those ended up for whoever requested it, either Dr. Lewis or the state. They didn't happen, but the diagnosis went forward. Are those critical, or is that part of the regular process?
I don't know what she's going to see from those. Like she already said earlier on, we can't tell what parts of the brain are related to some of this stuff, and then she wants an MRI and EEG. I honestly don't even know what that would tell her. Like that. So no, I would never in a million years would I request an MRI or EEG for an evaluation. Aside from the fact I'm not a neuropsychologist. It's not going to tell you anything, even if you are.
Okay. Can you ask? We asked this one already, Boogie. We got the 3-hour visit. Another question. Okay, I think we've got most of the questions answered or skipped. One of the two. I apologize. Is there anything else in what you've watched or to this case now? Because we're now basically the evidence is over. Right.
Yeah.
We're going to have closings, which are not evidence, and pretty much some jury instructions and straight to deliberation. Before I ask you what you think the jury will do, is there anything that stood out to this far that you've learned from this case, or think is an overarching theme that would be?
I mean, I'll respond it more broadly in a second, but I will say in terms of the Dr. Lewis testimony, I mean, what stood out there is that, if you're going to defend somebody like this, you need to just be focused on whether or not they know the difference between right or wrong, because the focus on the diagnosis tripped them up, I think. I think going after DID really screwed them up. They could have had a much more compelling case if they were trying to argue psychosis or something like that, which they did a little bit of, but she basically had said she was psychotic, she had DID, and she had complex partial seizures. All three of those were the reason. It was mind-boggling. I don't think anything's defensible in terms of what she did. I don't think there was ever like a good defense, but I think there were better ones than going down this path. Because even if they'd proven DID, it still wouldn't have proven that she didn't know the difference between right and wrong. And that was the
crux of what needed to happen.
Exactly. That was the puzzling part.
That's the only thing the jury needs to hear from her, right? Is she doesn't know what she was doing.
Yeah, and so, but the overall thing that I saw with this is that, that if somebody wants to be manipulative, that even professionals can label it differently. Like her lies were not labeled as lies; they were labeled as psychosis. Oh well, nobody that's organized or makes any sense would say that. She's a smart girl. She wouldn't say. I think that's literally what she said. She's a smart girl. She wouldn't say things like that. That's just being psychotic. It's like, is there not an alternative explanation for that? Is it maybe that she was manipulating? Like, is that not even a consideration? It's just
does it become enabling at that point? Is that what she's doing?
It becomes leading at that point, right? I'm going to take the lead and go, okay, yeah, she's onto something. I'm going to keep doing this. So.
Cachette is asking, what's the difference between a behavioral therapist and a loss therapist? I've never heard the term loss therapist.
I haven't either. I would assume if there's somebody that maybe specifically
grief therapist, or
there could be some that specialize in bereavement and grief. Behavioral therapists, they can work with people that are grieving as well. But there may be some people that specialize in loss and bereavement. So, if someone has lost someone, you specifically want to address that. Maybe that's a thing. I'm not familiar with a loss therapist.
I've had a couple of these messages come across chat. Where do you practice, and do you
Georgia.
accept patients in Georgia? Do you accept patients? Do you treat people remotely as well? Are you able to?
Yeah, I only treat people remotely. Since the pandemic, I realized people actually show up to their appointments if I do it remotely. So it's
so if somebody says, "Hey, I like this style. This does click. It feels like this is somebody I might be able to resolve some issues with or talk to." How do they get a hold of you? What's the process for that?
You go to drgexplains.com. My email and my number are on there, and they're free to reach out if they live in Georgia. So
awesome, because that's where you're licensed to practice.
That's where I'm licensed, but I'm also applying to this thing called SciPac. So using that, I could practice in other states, but that's different.
So my wife has run in and she's raised her hand. So hold on just 1 second.
Yeah,
let me see what Mrs. Ari says.
I was just wondering if you can give an example of somebody who really.
Here, let me swing the mic over. She does not come on the camera, but she does on her own show. But here you go.
Sure.
Yeah, okay, here's the thing. My hair is so gray that the green screen grabs it and turns my hair into an office building. It's not awesome. Okay, so here's my question. I literally cannot imagine what somebody would look like or behave who cannot tell the difference between right and wrong. I can't picture that in my head besides somebody who has extreme autism or something along those lines. I cannot, I just can't think who ever can use this as a defense. What does it look like?
Okay, so I would not recommend. I think I may have mentioned this last time we talked. I wouldn't recommend looking up any videos on this, but look at somebody who's been taking PCP. Mm-hmm. That is genuinely somebody who is out of their mind. That is somebody who has zero control over what they are doing. They can be shot and they won't even know it. They are just floridly out of control. But yeah, the idea of somebody who doesn't know the difference between right and wrong outside of substances, outside of a situation like that, it would be, I think the attorney used an example like this, and I actually agree with this, that somebody killed his daughter because he believed that she was a demon or something like that. And then the follow-up would be that they would call the police and say, there was a demon in my house and I killed him or something like that, right? They wouldn't then try to hide it or anything. It can be somebody that's so detached from reality that they have delusions that they believe are real, and so they might not act. So if you want to see something, there can be people who act bizarre to the point of not knowing the difference between right and wrong, and there can be people that are so deluded that they think the things they are doing are okay. But even in the situation of killing somebody they think is a demon, they still should know it's wrong to do that, and so that still becomes questionable even in those situations. Whether or not they were sane is a different story, but whether or not they knew what they were doing is wrong is a question that's going to come up in the Daybell case, I'm sure. So the Chetler Daybell.
So in your experience as an expert clinical psychologist analyzing people, I assume you've seen people that are not that would be insane, that should not be
Yes.
guilty of a crime because they don't know right from wrong. What's the frequency of that? Is that extremely rare?
It's extremely rare. Yes, it is very, very rare because even for people that are psychotic, oftentimes they oftentimes still know things are right or wrong. They may not see the world clearly, but they still know what the difference, like they're killing somebody is wrong. So even if they thought somebody was, you know, from the government and was spying on them, they still know that killing somebody is wrong. So it's still wrong, even if it was diluted.
So my question then would be, how does the trial move forward? If they don't know right from wrong, is that the trial really shouldn't go forward, right? Because they're not able to participate in their own defense if you're missing that basic foundational knowledge.
Yeah, the trial would really be proving that that's true. I think if they wanted a jury trial, and then it would really be proving the fact that they really truly don't know the difference between right or wrong. So that would be the crux of it. But they wouldn't be able to defend themselves. They likely wouldn't have regained competency to stand trial. And sometimes you see people, or not you, I've seen people that get confused about when they were supposed to be insane. So they'll be like, oh no, I'm crazy now, but I was okay when it happened. It's like, ooh, you were supposed to do this.
It's the other way around.
he flipped that one, bro. Sorry.
That was the nail in the coffin right there.
Yeah.
Jeanette Gilmore says, is Dr. G surprised that Letecia is not testifying?
Absolutely not. No, I never thought she would testify. You know, she clearly has enough awareness of what's going on. Like I said, you could see her body language when Dr. Lewis, early on, she was excited and she was like paying attention, like, oh, this is good stuff. And then like as it went on and it was clearly not going well, her head was down and she was like, oh God, this isn't good. So yeah, I don't think that she ever would have put herself in that situation. So I'm not surprised.
Lucy's asking about locked-in syndrome, and I'm not familiar with that. Is that something that Letecia could have used in her defense?
I don't know what locked-in syndrome is either, actually. I'd have to find out. Okay. I don't know.
We'll see if chat will update us with that.
Please.
What was your response to Dr. Lewis when she said, it happens by magic? This is how it comes out.
It just at that point, to me, it felt like the jury was just probably like, yeah, okay, let me just be done now. Like, you know, it almost became a little bit ridiculous at times. And to that point, I do think that the jury is going to find her guilty.
Okay, we've got one here from Kimberly that says, I believe that she's like someone with Maltesers, but wants to be the victim and get the attention and sympathy of a victim. What do you think? I think you addressed this a little bit before.
Yes.
We've got a perpetual victim in Letecia, right?
Yeah, I did a whole video on this very thing. Yeah, that is what she wants out of the world, is that I think that the way that Gannon was killed, I think it's possible, this is my own hypothesis, I think the way that Gannon was killed, the extremeness of it, all of that was to garner more sympathy, because once he was dead, I assume that's why she did things in such a horrible way and perpetrated things as badly as she did, is that would he was already dead, so that would just get more sympathy and would make her more of a victim. So yeah, I think that's absolutely the crux of her identity based on everything we've seen.
Okay, we've had a bit of fun. We poked a little bit of fun at what we call Backpack Lawyer, Mr. Cook and Letecia. If you've seen, there were a few moments in time specifically during the trial when the testimony was being brought up at the end of the prosecution's case about all the Google searches that Letecia did. There was a moment when Letecia and Mr. Cook sort of shared a laptop and got a little close. Was there any body language that was happening there that just screamed out to you anything?
Well, there were times, I mean, it's funny. I mean, there were times where Letecia would laugh with him even, it seemed like, you know, like I think that she, I mean, I don't want to overinterpret anything, but what I would say is I do think that she has a fondness for that attorney, probably, that she seemed to like him okay. Like, that's probably the only person in the room that, so I don't know if that's because she felt that he believed some of what she had to say, or just that she felt like maybe he's easygoing or whatever. I mean, well, I say easygoing, he was tapping his leg for like the last part of the trial. Seemed like he was ready to get out of there.
I was wondering if maybe his behavior might have been intentional to make the jury think that she's not the monster that she's being portrayed, that he can be close to her. And was there any sort of behavior that?
I actually thought that was a genuine interaction between them. I didn't think that was made to look in any particular way. I think that like there just were times where he said something and she thought it was funny, or that they were actually connecting. That's the way I read it. It seemed like genuine behavior to me. It didn't seem set up, I don't think.
Okay. I think we've got We've got all the questions asked. Well, we've got most of them. Dr. G, first of all, thank you. Last of all, thank you so much for coming on the show. Your analysis to my untutored mind is spot on, and it just rings true when you explain something. It makes sense, and thank you so much. I know that you are planning a video on this part of the trial as well. Can you tell a little bit about what that will be and when we can expect that on your channel?
So I recorded half of it last night, and then I'm going to record the other half today, where I'm really just analyzing Dr. Lewis's testimony and explaining it and explaining what the problems are, what different things she's talking about means. I was originally going to include some of the Dr. Torres and stuff, but it's just too much. So it's really going to be a review of Dr. Lewis's testimony. My goal is to have it out tomorrow morning. Editing doesn't always go that smoothly just because it's a lot to edit and you got to rewatch it and all that kind of stuff. So the goal is going to be tomorrow morning, at latest like tomorrow afternoon, but I'm going to have it out soon because I know people are going to be curious. I'm going to be talking about the same kinds of things we discussed today, but I'll go in more depth about the specifics and some of the real problems that Dr. Lewis brought up.
Awesome. I cannot wait to watch. I would request, we've got like 3,700 people in here. I hope probably all of them already follow you, but those that don't, please go over to Dr. G Explains on YouTube. I think one of my mods is linked to your page in chat, or we'll do so again. And we'll put it in the description of the video. Is there anything else you wanted to share today before we wrap up?
Just one thing that struck me as amusing during the trial that I just wanted to point out that Dr. Lewis said is it's like the one thing that I thought she would agree with the prosecutor on was, did you think De Niro was good in Cape Fear? And she was like, no. I was like, you just can't win.
Now, didn't she say that she helped him or gave him some documents or videos to watch or coaching of some sort?
Yeah, so it was just funny because we often use Cape Fear as an example of borderline men if we're talking about movie examples. So a lot of psychologists think he actually did do a good job on that. So like Dr. Lewis and I can't agree on literally anything.
Not even on movies.
Yeah. So, but I would say I really appreciate you having me on here. I love answering questions. So anytime you want to do this, I'm happy to talk to the community.
We would love to have you on call. As we do this all the time, that we just follow pretty much true crime, a little bit of civil case once in a while, but it's awesome. Your knowledge is impressive. Your ability to share that in a way we can understand is just unbelievable, and we definitely appreciate your time, knowing that you're doing this full time. You're not just a YouTuber like the rest of us. You have a real practice and real patience and demands on your time. So Dr. G, thank you so much for coming on. Thanks for doing it over Zoom, as I'll have to figure out my StreamYard and we'll get that sorted for next time.
Whatever works best. Doesn't matter to me. I see all my patients through Zoom, so I'm used to it. So
all right. I don't want you to look at us like work, though. Hopefully it's a little bit of a break. Thank you, Dr. G. Have yourself a fantastic day. We'll definitely be in touch.
All right. Anytime.
All
right. Thanks, guys.
See you.
Appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye.
That's awesome. Awesome for Dr. G to come on with us. As you can tell, I think very highly of him and highly recommend him. I think we've made sure we've got his link in the chat. I'll make sure it's in the, let's see, here's one of it right there. It's pretty simple to find him. If you go to YouTube and just search for Dr. G Explains, you'll find his channel. You'll definitely want to watch for that. With his analysis of this last part of the video with Dr. Lewis, it's going to be incredible. I apologize. I missed a lot of comments. It's crazy. I get stressed out during this. I really do. I'm nervous. We've got somebody who's who logistically and not just legally, but has every right to charge $800 an hour and is over here on volunteering his time for him. I'm trying to make it as good as possible for him, and so thank you. My fault there, Kimberly. Sorry about that. Thank you very much. I think we got the victim idea from that question. It was a little typo error on that. That's fine. Boogie just gifted 5 memberships. Thank you so much, as well as Teresa. Thank you very much for becoming a member. Welcome to the gallery as well. Great to have you all here. We'll probably have more chances to talk to Dr. G. And for those that didn't get a question in or have a question and it wasn't answered, I would love it if you subscribe to his channel, and when the video comes out on his video with Dr. Lewis, pop a question in there and let him know that you came from Recovery Addict. We'd like to show him some love that way. But subscribe to his channel and give him a question there. He is also responsive on his questions on his videos, and he would love that as well. So I think that would be fantastic and a great way to show support and thank him for coming on. Dr. G is saying I did great. Shouldn't be nervous. Or I think that was somebody else that said you did great. I thought it was Dr. G sending it. Either way, thank you for the kind words. He's very informative. Let's see. We have a couple of things I wanted to cover today. Yes, we do have the jury questions, or we have 6 of the 7 jury questions. We covered them twice already, so I'm not going to go over them one more time, but we did cover that earlier in the trial. If you want to read them yourself, let's see. The Twitter account you'll want to follow for that is going to be, let's see, it's Josh. Let me find it here. Let's see. Sorry, Zach Dupont. Zach Dupont. ZachDupont. He is a reporter there in Colorado Springs. He's been in trial the entire time, and he did write down 6 of the 7 juror questions, and those will be able to be viewed that way on Twitter. They're sort of all over the place now. He was the one who made it possible that way. We did want to talk a little bit about what the rest of the trial looks like, because we don't have no trial today, but trial is going to continue tomorrow. So there are a couple things that are left and that are going to be happening on the schedule. First thing, tomorrow morning, we know that the judge has asked the defense and prosecution to be there about half an hour early. So we're going to be early as well, but we'll be watching for that. If the live stream comes up early, we're going to take that. And we're going to just hear anything we can, the hot mics or whatever business they have to conduct. It may just be something as boring or as procedural as juror questions and things revolving the instructions the jurors going to get at the end of the case. It might be something a little bit more spicy, as we know there are a couple issues that sort of haven't been resolved to our knowledge, including the documents and things like that Dr. Lewis had. So we'll listen for that. That's going to happen. Then as soon as the jury's present, we expect the defense to rest. Once the defense rests, we're going to have some jury instructions from the judge. The judge will give those. There's like a long form jury instruction, which we're probably going to get, which might take us, it might take half an hour, it might take an hour, depends on how many instructions both sides have requested to have included. And following that, then we're going to have closing statements. We're going to have the closing statements first from the prosecution, then we'll go to the defense, and then we'll have a cleanup closing from the prosecution again. They have the burden of proof. That's why they're going to go twice. After that, the judge will charge the jury. There might be some other procedural stuff happening with the bailiffs being charged to maintain the jury. I don't think they're being sequestered in this case. Haven't heard of any request for that. So they probably are just going to start deliberating, and they'll most likely start after lunch or towards the end of the day. If it's late in the day, the judge might send them home to think about it over the weekend and then start deliberating after and deliberate on Monday. So we'll have to see how much time the jury instructions take and how much time the closings take. I haven't heard the time limits. Usually judges try to have each side take about the equal amount of time. So it'll be fun that way. Let's see. Let's watch Dr. G's video during a verdict watch. If YouTube would allow us to do a watch party, because we have to be careful. I can't use someone else's video, I can't just watch someone else's video. That wouldn't be right to them, because that takes away what could have been thousands of views on a video. But if there's a YouTube watch party function where each of us are watching the video and we're allowed to watch separately, and I know that's available through Facebook and some other things, we'll look at that. Let's see. Thank you for sharing Dr. G's channel there, Amber. Appreciate that. Let's see. I think we can turn on the burner phone again just for a minute as we're wrapping up here. I will say this afternoon we're planning. I'm possibly going to be on my wife's channel this afternoon. We might do a live stream. We're working on some issues right now to make that happen. My wife has a channel about homeschooling, so it's a big shift of topic to talk about homeschooling. But if you have interest in homeschooling, have kids that are in the school system now that maybe are dealing with some issues, you think maybe there's a different way to handle this, maybe we can look at homeschooling as an option. That would be cool to have you over there. So Homeschool Ground Zero on YouTube is where that happens. Jewel says, what Twitter spelling for Zach? Many on there. Amber, can you put Zach Dupont? Zach N. Dupont is his user handle. I'll put that in chat here really quickly. Let's see. Close this. It's going to be Zach N. Dupont. Oops, I got the @ symbol wrong. Hang on one second. Okay. So this is, oops. Not sure why the phone isn't ringing properly.
Call from Charmaine.
Hey, Charmaine, how are you doing this? I guess it's afternoon now for me.
Yeah, it's only 10 o'clock for me right now. Really good show this morning. I just wanted to let people know that if they go to the Facebook Recovery Addict Crime page,
Sorry, go ahead.
Okay. If you go to your Facebook Recovery Addict Crime page, I posted the questions and answers that Zachary posted. Because a lot of people don't have Twitter. If they could go to your page there, they can read the quick, questions and answers.
Yeah, and you can get the link to the Facebook by typing !FB in chat. But when you join, you have to answer the questions. There are some questions that before you join the group, if you just say join and don't answer the questions, it'll kick you back and it won't let you in.
Yeah.
You have to answer the questions appropriately. It's not a hard test. It's not a hard test.
Yeah, it's a really good page too. It's a really good page. I'm glad you have it.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. We have some great people, some great mods over there working to keep it great. So thank you very much for posting that over there for us.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you.
We'll see you. Bye.
Bye.
Michelle came in with super chat, says, when the jury finds him guilty, can you play Goodnight Sweetheart? Good night, sweetheart. Well, it's time to go. Do 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 do. We might do that. We might do a little duet with Ricky later. Not today, but I don't know. We probably get a copyright strike from that. Let's see, Michelle Mo, thank you for the kind words. Appreciate that. Let's see if we have any other questions. Zachary Anderson's sentencing is on the 16th. 16th of this month. He had his pre-sentencing examination hearing. I forget what they call it there. I think that's done now. Just subscribed. Thank you, Evangeline. Appreciate that very much. Hopefully we'll be live here this afternoon over on her channel. There's a police chase. Suspect shooting at cops while driving. Nems girl, are you pulling my leg? Are you pulling my leg? Is there a chase right now? Oh my goodness. Hold on. Let's see what we've got. Let's see. I'm not showing one active right now. Hey, sorry.
To accept, press 1.
Is it Carrie or Terry?
Carrie with a K.
Okay, how are you doing? This is Recovery Addicts.
Good. I'm doing good. This is completely off topic.
Oh, sure.
But your issue this morning with your...
All the
when you went over to Brandy last night,
that was
you were explaining noise gate to her, and I know you changed the setting. I just didn't know if that may have caused an issue because you got a little choppy there on that show after that.
Okay, I did turn off my noise gate and turn on and turn it back off. I normally don't run one. Just checked it. It is off right now. Let me check all the channels. Channel 4 has a noise gate, but I'm not using that one. All right, I'll dig into it a little bit. I might just reset all my system and just walk through everything. I appreciate the heads up. Thank you so much. That actually helps me diagnose the problem. So I appreciate that. Have a great day, Terry. Thank you very much.
You too.
Bye. Matthew Harris is here, says it's noon on Thursday. You know what that means. Yes, today, right now, it's an hour later. Matthew Harris just dropped a brand new video. Matthew drops a video every single week. He's a great friend of the channel. Anytime we need a legal mind, he's willing to step in and help us out. I credit him with all my legal knowledge. Everything I know about law, I learned from Matthew Harris. And you too can learn everything I know about law just by watching his YouTube channel. So if you type !Matthew in chat, you can go over on his channel and check it out and see what new gem he has available for us. Thank you, Anne, for the kind words as well. We'll be back in trial tomorrow morning. So we'll start at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. It may start a little bit early because the judge has said half an hour early the lawyer should be there, and he was looking specifically at Mr. Cook. Mr. Cook turned red when he said that because he knew what he was talking about. Mr. Cook's been late several days. But so we're going to start a little bit early tomorrow. Please do click the subscribe button here on this channel as well. And if you want to win the internet when we go live tomorrow, make sure you ring the bell as well so you can be notified. Are we allowed a poll? Yes, Sharon. Now, I teased you with the poll earlier, but let's do that now. Let's see what our group thinks. Okay, is LS... I have to word this carefully because we have a couple things to be decided. I'm going to group all the crimes together. Every crime she's charged with, I'm going to assume that it's either all or nothing on the guilt. So we're not going to say, yes, she's guilty of moving a body, but no, she's not guilty of murder, or vice versa. We're not going to do that. So let's do this. What will the verdict be? With a B. Okay, so we've got a couple options. Option number one is going to be not guilty. So I have to word these just right here. It's just 1 second. Hold on. Hold tight. Don't go anywhere. So I want you guys to read these carefully. Don't vote too fast because it's you have to read them carefully to make sure you're voting for the right thing, because there's a couple elements to this. So our options we have right now are not guilty because she's insane, not insane and she's guilty, or not insane and she's not guilty. Is there anything else we need? Oh, let's add a fourth hung jury. I can only put 4 on here, and we'll leave the Scottish option off. Okay, so there we go. Okay, poll is up right now. This is the first time we have asked this poll in this case. We like to wait until all the evidence is in for us to to cast our votes. But we've got a couple options, so read them carefully and make sure you choose carefully, because you can't switch. And if you click the wrong one, it's all right. You don't have to tell me you voted wrong. The numbers will average everything out, and we'll get this. We'll get a solution here. Someone remind me what Mrs. RA's channel is. If you type !Mrs. MRS in chat, it will respond with her channel, and it is Homeschool Ground Zero. I think yesterday Brandy was getting choppy feed from RA, and it was due to the normal internet issues, probably on Brandy's internet. Jim Bob, I think it might have been my side, because the audio issue was happening as well this morning. So I'm going to reconfigure everything I've got and just make sure it's working. We'll do a couple tests before tomorrow's trial, as well as before tomorrow's podcast. For those that don't know, I think if you type !Podcast in chat, it may also tell you about our podcast that's coming up Friday night with Weather Watch and I. If somebody can try that, it would be great if it works. Let's see. If you're requesting to join the Recovery Addict Facebook page, you must answer questions. Most importantly, agree to the guidelines. Hope to see you there, friends. Thank you, Tish. Our mods do a great job. We do ask that you do agree to be a nice person over there. That's basically what the questions are. Let's see. Did podcast work? Oh, look at this. You say podcast and it replies with, "This is a message." So apparently I have done something wrong, because podcast does not work right now. This is a message. We'll get that. Let me fix that here right now. You guys are having a heyday with that. Okay, just 1 second. Commands. I think I forgot to put the link in.
I'm not a camel.
I'm not a camel. The sounds are working. Let's see. Oh my goodness. There's a ChatGPT command. I have no idea what it does.
Let no dead horse go unbeaten.
!ChatGPT just appeared on the list of commands, and I don't know what it does. So I'm warning you, I have no control over the response it gives, and it might just break the stream. But so yeah, you're going to want to try that. I want to try it and see what it does, just a little bit. Okay, well, we're gonna have to fix the podcast link later. If there we go. We've got Weather Watch. We have if you hit !WW, it will share Weather Watch's page, and if you hit !WW again, it just might share his merch page because he's got his own merch now, which is just awesome. This is a cow. Thank you, Mighty Heidi. I appreciate that. Is a cow. This also is a cow that has seen a lot of use and abuse. Connie, I'm very curious what the response is. Let's see. I don't know. I wonder what ChatGPT does. We'll have to figure that out. Sorry, we ran into an error processing your message. I think you have to say !ChatGPT and then ask it a question. I thought ChatGPT was a bad thing. It may be. I might have to turn it off here really quickly. But so somebody type !ChatGPT and then hit space and then type a message and say who's the best YouTuber or something, and let's see if we got what day is it? Let's see if this works. So this might be strange and bizarre. I don't even know how it works yet. Yep, ChatGPT is broke. It is broken. We ran into an error. All right, so it's not working. It's supposed to be an AI bot that might answer questions, and it did just become part of the tool I use. They just updated and said they installed it, but I didn't know they had installed it and turned it on. So I'll learn how to use that. Time to get a weekly subscription to Cash Cow. He's blind now. This cow he's blind and has lost most of his nose, and the ears and udder are no longer pink either. Won't there be rebuttal witnesses? Vicky, great question. There normally are rebuttal witnesses. We believe during the time the mic was turned off yesterday, Letecia both said that she was not going to be testifying in her own defense, and the prosecution said that there would probably not be rebuttal witnesses in this case. They basically said there's nothing to rebut. It's already debunked. We don't need to do anything. ChatGPT is drunk. Yes, it is. Let's see. Yes, every Thursday, Matthew Harris drops a new video. It would be great to watch that. Do you ever find out about one jury they were watching? We have not heard. We heard it was a lady, and they're keeping an eye on her, and she might have had an accident of some sort, and that's all we know. We don't know if it was a car accident or spilled a drink or anything. Can't see chat on screen. That was my fault. Sorry about that. Thank you, Beck, for reminding me. Poor cow.
I'm not a cat.
Here's the buffer sound. Finding info of a chase in CT, but can't find live coverage. Check mod chat for screenshot. Let me take a look at mod chat. Live police chase. There's a feed on TikTok.
Sheriff's Department that's behind him. So they're very aware that he's been firing shots, but that is the Sheriff's Department unit that was back there.
Let's see.
I guess he just hit the brakes hoping that the officer would rear end him. And
I'm not sure. I can see a feed on TikTok, but and it says it's coming from NCal News or KCal. SK. I cannot read this. SkyCal. I think this is an old video. It looks like an old video.
Sure. I can see a feed on TikTok.
To accept, press 1.
Hey, this is a Recovery Addict. You might have to turn your volume down. Who am I speaking with?
I think this is an old video.
Oh, hi. This is Sandra Bridle.
Hey, Sandra.
Otherwise known as Boston Girl.
Boston Girl, welcome. How are you doing today?
I'm great. So I just thought this was funny.
Let's hear it.
So you sent me over to Matthew's page. I was watching some of his videos, and there was a video on court behavior. You know, if you're going to be a defendant. Letecia has violated every suggestion possible. It was amazing. Like, come dress nicely, sit up, pay attention, work with your lawyers. Somehow, like, dragging your hair down wasn't in there.
The hair fort? No, that's not appropriate.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she
and-
could have.
and-
She should have watched Matthew's video before she went to court, and it could have ended up better for her.
Yeah, and giggling with your lawyer. Not good.
Yeah, it did not look good, even if it wasn't technically like not illegal. I mean, even though it wasn't illegal, it did not look good at all. Thank you. I appreciate the update. He has some of the best videos, honestly. I love Matthew's videos. I love his presentation style as well. He's probably the best dressed lawyer on YouTube as well.
Well, I love the contradiction. I love his channel, and I have learned so much. And when I bring it back here to this trial, it's shameful.
Yeah. Yep, it's it's so bad. The comparison, what he taught and what she did, were so bad. Thank you for that. I appreciate you both supporting his channel and for calling and telling us about it.
Okay,
All right.
love you, hon. Love the chat.
Love you too. Have
Bye.
a great day. Bye. All right, we are going to end the poll here. I'm actually going to turn off the TikTok. I think that's an old Chase. Let's see. We're going to end the poll here. So if you haven't voted, it's going to be too late here in just a moment. Give it just a second. Cachette admits, I got excited and tapped guilty and insane before I could stop. Let's see. Let's end the poll. Okay, here's what we've got. It looks almost unanimous. We've got 3 1%ers, which add up somehow to 5%. I don't know how that works. But not insane and guilty, 95%. Insane and not guilty, 1%. Not guilty and insane is 1%, and hung jury is 1%. So that was out of 885 people who voted. So not bad. If we have a similar percentage on the jury, that would be a unanimous conviction, because you'd have less than 1% or less than one person vote anything else. A few not guilty poll were in error trying to move the poll. Someone accidentally clicked on not guilty. Just FYI, says CG. That's good. Boston girls say park in the car in Harvard Yard. I can't do a Boston accent. Boston. I cannot do a Boston accent. Cachette, we got you. Accidentally said insane. Jenna says I've been here since first thing this morning. I still have not got a seat. I'm curious why it is. I've done everything you guys have asked. So as long as the setting is selected to receive gifts, unfortunately, Janice, it's all up to YouTube now. When a gift is given, YouTube chooses it, and YouTube says that they choose it based on activity levels. So if somebody followed the channel like 2 weeks ago and set the setting to receive gifts and then has not been back to the channel, odds are they're not going to receive the gift. Whereas if someone has been here and has watched videos or interacted in numerous videos, they're more likely to get the gift. Obviously, I can't see how the numbers work out, so I can't tell you exactly how it goes. And when we have a lot of people in chat, we tend to have a lot more new people who aren't members. There's just more people that can possibly get that gift instead of you. So keep trying, keep being here. We appreciate you. Being a lurker is enough, so don't worry about that. I need some water. 1 second. All right, I can't let my voice go before I do a live stream with my wife. So, all right, is there anything else we need to cover before we wrap up for the day? There are literally thousands of people in chat. We do have about 2,500 people still here, so... Why can't I buy gifts and make it rain on my iPhone? I feel so discriminated. Cachette, very soon. Very soon, they're rolling that out. You might want to update your app, your YouTube app on your phone, because it might be updated already. The join button is appearing on iPhone devices. The drawback is because iPhone charges a fee, Apple is adding a surcharge, a 30% surcharge to anything you do through the app. So it's cheaper to do it through a computer or through an Android, but it will be possible, at least through iPhone soon. Jill Ballard says, just gifted 5 memberships and went to Picky, Grandma Cece, Susan B, and Barbie R. Thank you very much, as well as Charlene McDonald. Sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. There it is. Thank you very much, Jill, for that. I appreciate your generous support of the program and your gifts. I think we're good. Let's wrap up. Let's take half a day off. If you would like to join us on Mrs. RA's channel, now's the last time to go ahead and click the link. Let's see. You can type ! Let's see. Jenna wrote, says, "What's the channel name?" Just type ! Mrs. in chat, and it will link that on the screen. Where did she hide the body before she took the road trip? Rabbit, she hid the body first in the suitcase, possibly in the closet behind boxes, and then in the car. And I don't know when the police came and looked for Gannon in the house. I'm not sure if he was in the closet or in the car at that point. And then he remained in the car until she went to go pick up Al from the airport. She dropped the car off with Gannon's body in it at the airport, swapped to a rental car, picked Al up, and then left the car there. She went and checked the car to make sure that after they said we need toothbrushes to verify DNA, she went and checked the car to make sure they hadn't found the car in his body. They hadn't, so she just left immediately. And then later on, she took the car and took it up and dropped him off up in the woods. And then she swapped to a rental car, took the rental car when she was with family at the hotel, drove up saying she was going to get dog food. She went up and got Gannon's body, put it in the rental car, brought him down, then loaded the car into the second moving van. And that's when they moved it across. And that's when Dakota saw her moving the heavy suitcase into the second moving van. And then she took it across country. So thanks for the question there. Good question there. Am I supposed to clean my house and do laundry today? Says Lucy. I'm not going to say you have to do that, but thank you. Lucy, thank you for the 5 gifted memberships, as well as Lost Souls Paranormal just gifted a membership as well. Lost Souls, thank you for your continued support of the program. You are wonderful. Looks like May Claps was gifted a membership by Lost Souls, as well as a few people here. Let me go back. Picky, Grandma Cece. Oh, we got those ones earlier. We got those ones. Okay. I was lost in time. You're welcome, Rabbit. Thanks for the question. Loving this channel, says Cincinnati Paw Nerd. Okay, C, Sunshine is here. Yep, thank you for, this is Mrs. R.A.'s channel, where I am Mr. Homeschool Ground Zero. Robin, welcome. Good to have you here. Let's see. I think we're good. I think you get half a day off. Unless you want to come join us over on Mrs. Ari's channel, which we don't have a time frame yet, so you'll probably have to hit the subscribe button and ring the bell. You'll be notified when it goes live. I've been trying to enable membership gifts on other channels. You have a link to just click on to allow gifts. It's just that simple. Thanks for yours and the mods for such great help. Thank you, Vicky. I appreciate that. Our mods are absolutely fantastic. They do a wonderful job. I appreciate you recognizing them. Job well done with Dr. G. Adios, amigos. Thank you, Kitty Kitty Bang Bang. Appreciate it. Diet Coke Mama, if you're out there, Diet Coke Mom, hello, I see you. I don't see you in chat right now, but want to just give you a shout out. You know who you are. Stacy Hutchinson, hi, new to your show, and I love it. Stacy, thank you. I'm glad you found us. Thanks for being a part of this wonderful community. Enjoy the rest of your day. See you in the morning. Will do, Debbie. Thank you. Shenanigans, I just got here, says Polly Prissy Pants. Oh, man, you're going to have to watch on replay, Polly. Some good stuff with Dr. G today. I listened to your intro and outro music in an hour version. Love the music. It is good. I like it. We need the "Don't Go" soundbite. Don't go. There it is. Don't go. You want to trigger it. The problem is people will trigger it in chat, and it freaks me out, even though it's my own voice. What did I vote? Eileen, it does not let me vote in the poll. It's biased that way and won't let me participate. But I would also say she was not insane and guilty. Are they holding trial today? Not on Thursdays, Tamara. We'll be back Friday morning. Today we had a live stream with Dr. G from Dr. G Explains, a behavioral analyst and clinical psychologist who explained some of the behavior we saw from Dr. Lewis and analyzed her professionally from his vantage point as an expert witness himself. What's the next case we cover? We are working on that frantically. We will have a next case. Don't worry. We will not leave you hanging. But we've got to get the rights and everything sorted out. Glad you're on today. Great job with the doc. Thank you very much, Kenneth White. Thanks for being here. Trying to get Weather Watch to rain dance tonight so I can make it. You need the rain to cancel whatever you have. That's awesome. What time were you with Mrs. R.A. today? Don't know for sure. It's going to be this afternoon, probably very soon. The sooner I get off here, the sooner we'll start over there. It'll probably be a break for a little while as we set up cameras and everything. First time here. Thanks for all the news. Elaine, thank you very much. Hopefully you caught the jury questions. That was a big part that we had today that we didn't have yesterday. When the audio cut out from the courtroom, we had to depend on a reporter in court to give us that information. We covered that a couple times today, so if you need to go back, that's a good thing to listen for. Hey, look, Diet Coke Mama. Diet Coke Mama is here. I'm always here. Thank you very much. Good to have you here, Diet Coke Mama. Appreciate you. We'll get your phone call one time. I just ordered spicy maple bourbon pickles, and I'm excited. Yay, great job today. Thank you. That is awesome. Awesome. I need to get some myself. I'm out of all pickles. My house is pickleless right now. I have one yodeling pickle, and that's it. See y'all tonight on Brandy and JT's channel. Yes, that's going to happen tonight as well. A wonderful recap of the Lori Vallow trial happening over there. If you're following that case, that's the best place to watch it. Let's see. I think that's it. Let's play some music and let's wrap it up so you guys can get some stuff done today as well. And we might see some of you over on Mrs. Aria's channel. There we go. Thank you so much for being patient with me today as I had major audio problems. We figured them out eventually. We'll get this sorted before we go too far. It's a little loud. Tonight when you go home, please hug the people you love, smile at someone, make their day just a little bit better, and stay safe till we go live again. We'll be back about, I think, 10 o'clock tomorrow on this channel. Ring the bell, be first in court, and we can win the internet. Thank you, Sharon, for winning today. I appreciate you. I don't want to know how many times you had to click on that refresh button this morning waiting for me to put that chat up, but you were quick and you won. Thank you very much. Follow Brandy, follow Weatherwatch, follow Ivan. Click !Rebel in chat and follow Ivan on YouTube. It's one of our most energetic supporters. Highly recommend his channel as well. So thank you very much. What's the significance of the exclamation point before a word? Abigail, that triggers a response from the bot. Either a sound effect, like this one. Don't go. Or something else, another response. Sometimes it triggers links. If you need a specific link, you can trigger links to our Facebook page, to the Discord page, to some of the other channels that we support here, some of our friends of the program. It's just a way to trigger that and sometimes make sounds happen as well. So thank you very much, everybody. Have a great day. Thanks for supporting Dr. G. Thanks for all your time. Please stay safe. We'll see you guys tomorrow morning.